Chapter 226. Sweeping around, the clan dogs around him are not much better than him. One by one fell to his knees, and many of them suffered from incontinence. I was even more unconscious, foaming in my mouth. The three-headed dog clan of hell, as an outstanding dog clan, their natural sensitivity to danger is far more sensitive than other monsters. The crisis just now was a fear that Zhang Shiqi's father had never encountered before 700 or 800 years after he was born. The huge source of horror stood quietly on the open space tens of meters away from them. The earth was sunken by his arrival, and dense cobwebs extended outward. This is a huge dragon. Zhang Shiqi's proud father looks like a puppy in front of him. Respected strong man, dare to ask which abyss lord you are. Come to our clan land. What is needed? Do we serve? Zhang Shiqi's father was trembling, 3 pairs of dog eyes staring at the ground, not daring to lift his head. Died. Why would we meet such a terrifying dragon? The abyss. What are we doing? Why should you punish us like this? Zhang Shiqi, Teddy, you completed the task of subduing the clan dog very well. The huge thunder sound blew up from ears. It was the voice of that terrifying behemoth. But what does he mean? Zhang Shiqi? Teddy? These 2 stupid dogs? What is the task of subjugating dogs? The 3 heads of Zhang Shiqi's father are a little big, and he hasn't figured it out for a while, and his heart is messed up. My lord, I'm very sorry. I haven't completed your task. The main reason is that my clan dogs don't believe that I followed the powerful you. So I want my lord to show up and let the clan dogs understand what I said before. True or false? Is that so? Shillong glanced at the kneeling dogs at random. The body that looked at them was shaking wildly. A puddle of yellow liquid flows from under many dogs. Everyone, I am very glad to meet you. As you can see, I am the master of Zhang Shiqi and Teddy. I came to your place this time to expand my power. You are all excellent 3-headed dogs from the hell. My subordinates, shouldn't you have any comments or questions? Xylem asked. No opinion. Many demon dogs were trembling, afraid to have other opinions. But Zhang Shiqi's father stopped there, and he didn't know what he was thinking, but he didn't speak. However, Xylem didn't care about him, but continued. I am very happy to have your outstanding subordinates. Now that I have joined my subordinates, I will naturally choose a leader for you. Based on the principle of first come, both Zhang Shiqi and Teddy are qualified to become your new leaders. Choose for yourself who will rule you. Choose the orthodox commander you want, and the other is the deputy commander. Xylem didn't give them a chance to refuse, so he went on. A pair of scary eyes swept around. Where did these dogs dare to speak? They all turned their eyes to their leader, Zhang Shiqi, his father. Zhang Shiqi's father is now in a complicated mood. As the leader of the tribe of 3-headed dog, I didn't say anything about being included without comment, and even being removed from the position of chief. The key is that he dare not refute it at all. If it was just an ordinary legend, perhaps he would dare to say nothing. But the terrifying dragon in front of him? Save it. He believes that not many monsters dare to resist him. Then you can only make a choice according to the other party's words. Let Zhang Shiqi be the leader, or Teddy. Generally speaking, it must be Zhang Shiqi, because he is Zhang Shiqi's father. But in fact, Teddy is also his son, but the dogs of other races don't know. So, which of the 2 sons should be the patriarch? After thinking about it for a while, he made a decision. It was Zhang Shiqi. At least on the surface, he only has this son. Great dragon. I propose Zhang Shiqi as our leader and lead us. After his words were spoken, Zhang Shiqi immediately raised his dog's head. With a complacent look, he glanced at Teddy diagonally. It seems to be saying, see it. Only Lao Tzu is worthy of the leader of the 3-headed dog clan. And Teddy just sighed. He guessed the result when he saw the people turn their eyes to Zhang Shiqi's father. Why do they call them father and son? But I will never admit defeat. Zhang Shiqi, you wait. I will prove that I am a better dog than you. He returned a look full of fighting spirit. Very well. Since you have made your own decision, Zhang Shiqi will be your leader and Teddy will be your deputy. I hope you will obediently listen to them in the future. At the same time, as my subordinate, I must follow the rules in the future. I believe you will like my territory in the future. Shillong said at the end, looking at Zhang Shiqi and Teddy. You 2 will also take responsibility as the leader. In the future they will cause trouble in the territory. You 2 will also have the same crime, you know? My lord, rest assured, we will do our best to be loyal to you. The 2 dogs said immediately. Yeah. Xylem nodded. This trip to the abyss, to be honest, has ended here. However, since all the dogs here have not been assembled, and many are still wandering nearby, Shillong waited for nearly a month before the dogs were assembled. More than 1,000 soul demon tablets have been retrieved from Zhang Shiqi before. The more than 200 soul demons are a surprise. He didn't even think of this guy suffering, although there might be something wrong with his brain. But it's pretty reliable to get started. He stretched out a dragon claw and started to burn the magic circle in the void with the tip of the claw. In about half an hour, a huge and complicated magic circle appeared in the abyss. He said to the three-headed dogs in hell, "The portal is now my territory. You all shrink and enter slowly." Hearing Shillong's instructions, these magic dogs shrank one after another, and under the leadership of Zhang Shiqi and Teddy, stepped into the portal that exuded strange light. City of Tomorrow Wuxia World. Online, inside the huge palace of Shillong. This is the 3rd year since Shillong has left, but here is still clean and tidy. Every day, a guard leans on a pillar, yawning boredly. It was noon, when people were most tired. The guards who had been on duty would take a break at this time. Normally, no one would come to inspect. The next moment the guard was about to close his eyes and rest for a while. A huge black portal suddenly appeared. This portal is huge, close to the top of the temple. The guard was taken aback. He didn't know what it was, just when he hesitated to report to the captain. Chapter 227. A familiar demon dog with a height of about 2 meters came out from it. It was Zhang Shiqi. 5 years ago, this dog was a famous dog in the city. Many guards and soldiers know him, and this guard is no exception. Seeing Zhang Shiqi, the soldier breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately got excited again. I heard before that this dog and the Dragon King are going out together. Will the Dragon King also come back? Thinking of this, the guarding soldier snapped, "Standing straight. Look up. Stand tall. Tuck in." His eyes flashed with a strange light, staring straight at the portal. "Be careful and leave a good impression in front of the top leaders, who will finally back. I don't know how Xiaomei, Xiaoli, Xiaoyi are doing. There are Ada, Air, Asan and others." As soon as Zhang Shiqi stepped out of the portal, he sniffed his nose in nostalgia and said with emotion, "The first 3 are his beloved dogs, and the last 3 are all children. They haven't seen each other for 3 years. I really miss them." "Who were you talking about just now?" "Xiaomei, Xiaoli, Xiaoyi? Is it the little you found 5 years ago?" Behind Zhang Shiqi, Teddy quickly followed. After hearing Zhang Shiqi's words, he couldn't help asking, "My lord must have caught it for you from other places, right? Which breed is it? Is there such a ghost dog?" At the end, Teddy's dog's face was envious. "Huh, I will tell you." Zhang Shiqi turned his head. "Oh no, back here, the things about Fang'o and I will definitely be known. The clan dogs will laugh at me. Especially Teddy, this guy." The more Zhang Shiqi thought about it, the wetter his hair became. "Just forget it," Teddy said. Then I looked at the palace. "Is this the land of my lord? It's really beautiful. Just staying on it, it seems that both the body and the soul must be sublimated." Teddy's dog face was intoxicated. Just as Teddy was intoxicated, the 3-headed dogs that shrank behind him entered one by one. They looked around. Suddenly, a demon dog stared at the guard on one side with red eyes and sweated down the back of the guard staring at it. "That human looks so delicious. I just missed the taste of humans a bit. I didn't expect that there would be one here. Ha ha ha." As the demon dog said, he quickly rushed over with a hungry dog poking food. Before the guard screamed, Zhang Shiqi on one side was scared out of cold sweat. He barked. The whole dog body was like a bullet, and with a swish, it rushed out at a speed far beyond the imagination of all dogs. Bump! A loud crash sounded. Zhang Shiqi's head was against the waist and abdomen of the demon dog that was attacking humans, and he flew straight out for tens of meters, hitting a stone pillar with a diameter of at least 2 or 3 meters on one side. Bump! Wow! The dog hit by Zhang Shiqi let out a miserable howl. The 2 demon dogs fell to the ground with a snap. The guard and the other dogs looked at the 2 flying dogs in a daze. The demon dog that was hit was being pressed underneath by Zhang Shiqi at this time, and he felt that his ribs were about to break. The boundless anger gathered in his chest. He was originally the magic dog of Zhang Shiqi's father's hunting force, and he himself was Zhang Shiqi's elder. I have always thought that those tribes who don't work and wait to eat are better than others. What's more, Zhang Shiqi, who has been weak since childhood, even if he was the son of the patriarch, he would not receive his respect. At this time, when he was hit by this despised guy, he was naturally furious, and his eyes were blood red. He stared at Zhang Shiqi and shouted, "You bastard! What the are you doing? Why attack? Your clan dog? Are you defending that useless mortal? Bastard!" Hearing this, Zhang Shiqi was furious, and slapped the face of the dog on the ground with a slap in the surprised eyes of other dogs. He roared, "You idiot! Do you want to die? This is not the abyss. This human being is not the unlucky person who strayed into the abyss, nor is it the human that you have been summoned to devour. He is my lord, the great dragon god. Soldiers under Shillong Soderberg, what right do you have to deprive him of his life? What do you mean by this?" The devil dog under his body calmed down for a moment, and finally he was not to be outdone. "He is just a human being. Shouldn't it be our food? We are a member of the Dragon King. Next, what's wrong with enjoying humans?" "Idiot!" Zhang Shiqi cursed. "Here is different from before. If you want to live well, you must be familiar with the rules here. If you dare to eat people indiscriminately, my lord will definitely kill you and make a dog meat hot pot. Eat it. Why? Are we not his subordinates? The demon dog under him was finally a little scared. Remember, here, you and all human beings are equal. Your strength is stronger than him, and it doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. Zhang Shiqi glared at the demon dog under him. Then he looked at his ethnic group and said, "You are also careful. Don't cause trouble. I will take you out later and tell you the rules here." The dogs of other races nodded silently after hearing the words. When the dogs of all races entered the palace, Shillong's huge figure slowly stepped into the teleporters. The moment his huge claws landed, the entire palace shook several times. When his body got out of the portal, immediately felt a strong sense of rejection. It seems that the whole world is rejecting him, saying something unusual to him. There is a deep, malicious blessing on him, making him feel incompatible with the whole world. This feeling is very uncomfortable. To be honest, Shillong felt it 5 years ago, but at that time the sense of rejection was still relatively weak, which is like now. Suddenly, he felt his body vacant uncontrollably. Seeing that it was about to break through the top of the palace. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.com. Shillong's body shrinks rapidly. As the body shrinks, this sense of rejection is rapidly weakening, but even if the body of the Shillong dragon shrinks to 2 or 3 meters at this time, it still feels very uncomfortable after the body can control it and land on the ground. For this reason, he changed into the dragonborn form again, and this time his sense of rejection was reduced a lot, feeling the same as before he entered the abyss 3 years ago. In the form of the dragon descendant, he has grown a little bit compared to 8 years ago, and his height has changed from 1.4 meters to 1.5 meters. Shillong's face was a bit gloomy at this time. He didn't expect that. He just went to the abyss once, and unexpectedly had such a big problem after returning. He was almost directly excluded from the main material realm, so didn't his original good wishes go to bed? Even if it is not excluded now, it is restricted to the body. Chapter 228. This made him very upset, but he had to endure it. Although the dragonborn form has reduced his strength a lot, he definitely has a combat power that is not weak even at the legendary level. Own strength is too strong. Others would rejoice for being strong, but Shillong was a little sad. He didn't want to leave the main material world that he has become familiar with so early, as well as his relatives and friends. His city has just set sail. In fact, Xylem didn't know that if it were other creatures with his strength, they would have been rejected by the main material realm and entered the star realm. But Shillong did not. It was all because of his young age. In the main material world, every life born and every bit of growth is burning its own exclusive mark toward this world. This mark will increase with your age and strength until it exceeds the upper limit allowed by this world. This is why the primordial dragon is basically invisible to the main material world. Each of these guys is basically over 1,000 or 200 years old, and their strength is approaching the level of a demigod. This group of guys had already imprinted 2 mini marks in the main material world, and they were rejected early. In the same way, those powerful, long-lived races are the same. While their lifespan and strength are increasing day by day, they are finally rejected. The short-lived species of human beings are different. Their lives are extremely short compared to the long-lived species. However, individual geniuses can burst out in this short time a brilliant life that other creatures cannot imagine. Thus advanced demigod. There are only this young human demigod, and many of them still remain in this main material interface. This is also the key reason why they can dominate the mainland. Of course, population is also crucial. Perhaps, there are many demigods with special methods, and they are still living somewhere in the main material world. Shillong's complexion was very ugly. He had a sullen face and glanced at Zhang Shiqi and the dog under him and said, "You too? What's the matter?" Zhang Shiqi, the magic dog under you, don't agree. Is your discipline? The stream of golden particles in his eyes gathered and scattered. Even if it was just the form of the dragonborn, it still caused a strong sense of oppression on the demon dog under Zhang Shiqi. No, I played with him. He was so excited when he came to the material plane for the first time. Zhang Shiqi said quickly. While talking, he lowered his head and winked at the demon dog below him and the guard on the side. Although the guard was taken aback, he didn't suffer any harm, he thought. This Zhang Shiqi is also a pet by the city lord side, and his status is quite high, so he didn't say anything. And the demon dog under him was wet by the back of Shillong's eyes, and he stammered, "No. Yes, we playing he. Since this is the case, get up quickly," Shillong said. Oh good. The 2 demon dogs immediately stood up. Zhang Shiqi's father looked at Shillong's gloomy expression, recalling the unnatural reaction of the other party just now. His eyes flashed again and again, as if thinking of something. Okay, Zhang Shiqi, you stay with your clan dogs and take charge of the buildings and the mudslide elements of the land. Lanio reports. Let him arrange accommodation for you, and teach them the rules by the way. Lin Nua was the first to follow the debris flow element of Shillong, who was appointed by Shillong to work as a supervisor on the construction site. Because of all the previous things, Zero thought that this earth element was a rare talent, so he promoted it. Zhang Shiqi listened to Shillong's words and deftly led the clan dogs away quickly. Shillong's return, his own horror aura will not be hidden. There are a lot of sensitive mutant people in the city who have felt it, and they began to cheer that their city lord and have returned. If there are people who don't understand, they will naturally ask immediately and cheer after they get the answer. Soon, the whole city was in a sea of cheers. Slowly alarmed a few female dragons leaning to the edge, as well as the high-level parties in the city. Inside the palace, Shillong was about to start his own game design at this time. But suddenly, the space around him seemed to freeze, and the guard on one side stared at the front blankly, like a statue. All this is very abrupt. Just when Shillong's instinctive feeling was wrong, he was about to become his true body. A weird dragon appeared right in front of him. Close to the body of this dragon are charcoal gray scales and a skeleton without a distinct back, giving a smooth impression. Hourglass-shaped black scales covered his eyes like a mask, and 12 ring-shaped black scales that were unevenly distributed were radially distributed from back to front on it, like annual rings. A thorn resembling a Japanese pointer stretched out from the back of its skull, seeming to double the length of its head. It has a pair of triangular wings that stretch out and unfold from a very narrow point behind it, making its general shape look like an hourglass. 2 protrusions of different lengths at the end of the tail gave it 2 tail tips. On the whole, this dragon is very ugly and looks dry. Its size does not look big, comparable to the reduced Jianshiqi, but the strange aspect of it made Shillong not dare to despise it. With every breath, the surrounding air is twisting. When at the airflow, the surrounding space, and the most obvious floor, seem to have been baptized by the years with obvious signs of yellowing and graying. When it exhales, the ground will return to its original state, even cleaner and neater. It is like the control of time, and time goes by between exhales and breaths. The ground has experienced many years of baptism. Shillong has no doubt that if there is a mortal under it, he may be taken away by his breath and cause death. Don't be nervous, Shillong Soderberg, I have no intentions. It spoke. It was a male voice. As if to prove that he was not malicious, his body drifted back tens of meters. His wings have never incited Wuxia World, online like an ornament from beginning to end. ? The corner of Silem's mouth opened slightly. I feel the same kind of breath on your body. It is really a strange dragon. I have never seen a dragon like you, nor have I heard of it. Is it some kind of special made product? Who is your god? Shillong was very vigilant about this extraordinary dragon at first glance. Don't worry, I don't believe in Tiamat. The ugly dragon smiled. Of course I don't believe in Bahamut. I have no faith, but I will respect Bahamut's kindness. God. And I am not created by God, man-made. I am a product of time. Time Dragon, not Wheel of Eternity. Chapter 229, Time Dragon. The Time Dragon among the 3 legendary dragon species? Shillong instantly recalled from the inherited memory. Time Dragon, Rainbow Dragon, Strength Dragon. For the 3 legendary dragon species in the entire universe. All have their own legends. However, the main material plane is relatively small, but there are still many inheritance memories about them in the entire dragon clan. He had heard Karma mentioned before. After all, Kama had compared him with the legendary dragon before. Growing up to the end, its strength is enough to rival the invincible dragon of the gods. These 3 legendary dragons are known legendary dragon species. Of course, there may be other unknowns in the entire multiverse. Among the 3 dragons, the Time Dragon is the strongest and the most mysterious. Their origins are not known to any creatures, they only appear occasionally, and all their behaviors are based on their own preferences. Controlling time, manipulating time is the impression they leave for mortals. According to the records of the mortals, this is true, legendary dragon species. Very interesting dragon species. Just like the hateful dragon species you belong to, it is the naming method for all creatures. Time Dragon, not Eternal Wheel Road. What hatred dragon do I belong to? What is hatred dragon? You seem to know well, there is no such dragon species in my inheritance memory. Silem frowned and asked. Hate dragons are rarer dragon species than legendary dragons. They are mutated from the corpses of those gods after their deaths. Those corpses have the characteristics of not showing up. Even if it is the opponent who killed him, it is difficult to destroy them. In the end, it can only be sealed. In the process, the corpse of the undergoes some special changes, and it becomes a hatred creature. The hatred dragon is one of the most powerful. Time Longnot said slowly. Mutated from the corpse of a god? Silem said here, with a sarcasm smile at the corner of his mouth. Of course you are special. You were born from your mother's egg. Not fully understood the meaning of Shillong's smile. Even I can't believe that 2 ordinary silver dragons can give birth to you. Mutant plutonium dragon. I think your egg may have been kissed by the god Ao. This is the greatest miracle. Plutonium dragon? Do you say that my race is plutonium dragon? Xylem asked. Yes, the dragon with the strongest destructive power is absolutely evil. One of the most famous guys, killed a powerful evil god, possessed the power to rival the ancient evil. This is something that even I cannot do. Time Dragon sighed. Oh. Xylem raised an eyebrow. A strong race is a good thing, but these guys don't seem to be a good thing one by one. It seems that he is not a dragon. Shillong, who thought he still belonged to Shanlong, thought so. So? Listen to your tone. You seem to be very strong. Who is more powerful than a god? With such strength, what can you do to find me? Is it possible to walk the way for the sky and kill my evil plutonium dragon in the cradle? Xylem asked. At the same time, I secretly said in my heart that the arrogance of this time dragon is stronger than his supernatural power. Maybe he can do it in the future, but it is obviously impossible now because there is an Ao enchantment here. You misunderstood. I don't care about your good and evil. The judgment of good and evil is itself a shackle that the ants in the world came up with to limit higher life. We are both higher beings, and there is no good and evil. I came to you, just wanting to be friends with you. Time Dragon said. Become a friend? Xylem was a little surprised. Is it really that simple? Yes, becoming a friend. I have a favor in the future and need your help. Time Dragon said directly. You are honest, but I won't choose to help you simply because of a word of yours. I know. Time Dragon said. His slender claws swayed gently. A drop of red gold, gem-like blood appeared in the heart of his claws, about the size of a human nail plate. Floating quietly, this red gold blood exudes a strange brilliance, and the elemental energy around it gathers together. Shillong felt familiar in this blood. This is my blood? He frowned and asked. Yes, it was caused by your injuries during the battle with the Lord of Dawn. I collected some. Time Dragon said, these blood are rare treasures, and you are too wasteful. At the end, he blinked mischievously at Shillong. Shillong was silent. Damn it, the blood of our dragon can also be sold for money. That fellow Andre said before. However, because the battle with the Lord of Dawn was too fierce at that time, the battlefield was ruined and he didn't pay attention to his blood. Unexpectedly, this time dragon would have drawn his blood's attention long ago. Thinking of this, Shillong's complexion was a bit ugly. Don't be angry, this time, I will return your things to you. After all, I am here to make friends with you. As he said, a glass bottle the size of 2 human fists appeared again on his right paw, and there was a bottle of red gold liquid in it. Needless to say, it's all Shillong's blood, but the blood here and the drop outside looked very different, far from the drop on the left paw. You are going to return my blood, come and make friends with me, ask me to help? Xylem's complexion was not very good. No, this is just one of them. The most important thing is this drop of blood on my left paw. Although it is your blood, I also empowered me in it. You should be able to feel it. It contained power that was enough to shock the dragon and the gods. Time Dragon wrote. Indeed then? What use is it for? It allows you to have the power you have after 1,000 years in 1 minute. Time Dragon said. Xylem's eyes widened. 1,000 years later, own power? Is it possible? 1,000 years later, how powerful he will become. Even he himself does not have a clear concept. The ugly dragon in front of him opened his mouth. He reported this with suspicion. Wuxia World. Online Time Dragon just smiled, and then proudly said, have you forgotten my race? I am Time Dragon, the great dragon that controls the power of time. This is a god. A great power beyond your control. It is not impossible for you to temporarily have the power to grow naturally after 1,000 years. Of course, the premise is that you don't refuse it. As for the power above, my power of time cannot be easily given to you. Shillong still didn't believe him all. And your blood, let me tell you its effects. They can not only be used as super extreme flame casting materials and auxiliary materials for making artifacts, but also allow your mutants to enter the 4th stage. Of course, the probability of success will be very low, about 10%. Shillong's ugly face has always been friendly. Chapter 230. I've told you all of these features. It's not that you are going to be my friend right away, but as time goes by, we will definitely become friends. When we meet again next time, you will treat me as a friend. Time Dragon said here, a drop of blood with the power of time in his hand, as well as a whole bottle of ordinary blood drifted towards Shillong. Finally, he took out a necklace. The whole necklace looked dark gray and looked no bright spot. This is a restraining necklace that possesses part of my power. As long as you wear it, even if you regain your true body, this necklace can free you from the world's rejection within 24 hours. Of course, while fighting against world rejection, my strength is also being consumed. When the power of this necklace is exhausted, no matter what means you use, you will not be able to appear on the main material plane. Also, if you use the drop of blood I gave you during this period, this necklace is enough to keep you from being repelled by the power of the world within 30 seconds. Okay, I'm done with what I want to say, my friend. Let's see you next time. As Time Dragon's voice fell, his figure disappeared without a trace in a circle of different colors glowing with the power of time. The time around returned to flow again. The soldier who had been guarding glanced at the Dragon King who had been staring at a clearing, scratching his head. I remembered that your majesty was not looking in that direction just now. Why did you turn around all at once? How many things do you have? It's really weird. The guard's mind was a little confused, but the whole body was still quite straight. Stand in front of your majesty with the best spirit. Shillong glanced at 3 things last, and then swallowed into the special space in his belly. Study it in a while. Now deal with those relatives and friends who haven't seen you in 3 years. Soon, all the relatives and friends who got news of Shillong's return rushed over. There are 4 female dragons he is familiar with, Julia Elong, carrying Armin into the huge palace first. Behind Shillong's Dragonborn, although he was slightly surprised, he was quickly replaced by excitement. Armin jumped directly off the dragon's back, which was nearly 20 meters above the ground, and then rushed to Shillong. After approaching, he hugged Shillong and shouted, "Shillong, you bastard! Why have you been to the abyss for 3 years? I thought you died there. If you die, then I must be finished. This world is simply terrible. Do you know? I haven't slept well in the past 3 years." Armin complained again and again. The huge red dragon Julia shrank quickly and became a human female. Her face was flushed and her breathing was very heavy. As she ran towards Shillong, she shouted at the same time, "My dear Majesty Shillong, you are finally back. If you don't come back, I will miss you and die." Seeing that she is getting closer and closer to Shillong, she must embrace the Dragon King she dreams of. Bump! Julia's beautiful face and nose seemed to hit a shapeless glass, directly squeezing the face and nose into deformation, which looked a little funny. "Your Majesty, stop rejecting my love for you," Julia yelled. After seeing the appearance of Julia, the 3 female dragons did not give up, but rushed towards Shillong from 3 other directions, but the result was no exception. They all hit the air like wall. The 4 female dragons did not dare to violently destroy them, so they could only plead with Shillong to give them a hug to relieve their lovesickness. Shillong ignored them either. Instead, he pushed Alman away silently, frowned, and looked at his current brother carefully. This guy, it is completely different from the previous image. He is actually wearing a beautiful silver dress. The hair is still longer. Coupled with his neutral appearance after turning into an elf, he looks exactly like a female elf. This bastard. What have you experienced during the 3 years that I was away? Shillong's eyes fixed on Armin. Hey, Armin smiled triumphantly when Shillong stared like this and said, "Shillong, how about my clothes? Does it look good?" While he was talking, he actually turned around, like a woman showing off good-looking clothes. "You guy, why are you wearing a dress? You still have long hair? Are you a pervert?" Shillong said with a look of disgust. "Who do you think is a pervert?" Armin was slightly angry. "I just think this kind of clothes looks good. As for long hair, of course it is to match my good-looking clothes." "Good-looking? You are a male dragon. Why should you be good-looking? Shouldn't it be handsome?" "What's the difference between being handsome and looking good?" "I think it's good. Ever since I wore this dress and walked outside, those humans like to stare at me. Both men and women start to like me. What does this show? It shows that my charm has improved. I'm beautiful." Armin said complacently. "Who urged you to dress like this?" Shillong's expression turned gloomy. A pair of dragon eyes full of golden particle streams scanned the 4 human-shaped dragons that were turned away by the repulsive wall. The 4-headed female dragon was scanned by Shillong's eyes, lowering her head with a slight guilty conscience. "Encourage? No one urged me." Armin said, "Shillong, you look down on me too much, right? I'm also a silver dragon known for being smart. Who can persuade me? I just found through my observation that wearing this style would make me more popular." Tisk, Shillong smashed his mouth. Ruined. Through inheriting memory, Shillong actually knew that many male silver dragons among his ancestors had done this too. Among this group of perverted dragons, every time there is one who likes women's clothing. Among the most outrageous are those who fall in love with the same sex. And once these guys do this, the 10-headed dragon can't pull it back. I just hope that in the future, the boy Armin will not continue to pervert and like male creatures. What if he goes abnormal? How can I be worthy of my mother's request? Shillong had to think about this question. Wuxia World. Online. Maybe I should interrupt his dragon leg? Lock him up? He looked at Armin with dangerous eyes. "Don't look at me that way. Many silver dragons in the clan were this way. What's wrong?" He was a little hairy by Shillong's stare, and quickly carried his clan out, just as the 2 dragons were talking. Soon a large number of people ran into the hall. There are Kusk, some orcs, mutants, and some mages. And many more. Who is the last skull? wearing a white coat, the eyes of the soul and fire in the skull, staring straight at him, full of heat. Why is this guy a little familiar? Chapter 231. Shillong's mind quickly turned and quickly remembered the identity of the other party. Before he defeated the clone of the Lord of Dawn, one of the several legends he encountered in the atmosphere. Also the first guy to run away after the Death Knight called for help. That's right. It's the Skeleton Lich. Its figure appeared at the entrance of the main hall, at least 700 or 800 meters away from Shillong. But soon, a flicker appeared in front of Shillong. It opened its skeleton arms and seemed to want to embrace Shillong. But Shillong was not too polite to this unidentified guy. With a wave of his left hand, a fierce repulsion rushed towards the Skeleton Lich. Pong! The Skeleton Lich whispered, and was instantly knocked off by 100 meters before hitting Wit's arms and being held by the princess. After Werther mutated, his face became very neutral and charming. He smiled evilly, and his arm lightly stroked the skeleton of the skeleton. Mr. Wyckoff, the texture of your bones is really great. It looks white and bright, and I can't help but want to touch it every time I see it. Huh, the fire of the soul of the Lich Wyckoff shook suddenly. The purple and black magic power on his body flashed, quickly disappeared from Wit, and appeared a few meters away from Shillong, keeping a safe distance. It doesn't want to get too close to Wit, because it knows that the other party is a pervert. The Lich bowed slightly and said, "The Great Dragon King, Your Majesty Silin Soderberg, Lich Master, Wyckoff salutes you." Shillong looked at each other squarely. "In what capacity are you talking to me now?" "His Majesty, I have joined your city now. Like your citizens, I love this city where everyone is equal and harmonious," Wyckoff said. "Shillong, don't listen to this skullhead nonsense." Armin on one side couldn't help but said, "This guy is a dumb-faced guy. After you left, it came to the city and said he wanted to see you. I want to start cooperating with you and still brag about how powerful I am. We originally wanted to drive it away, but this guy didn't leave at all. Every time he drove out of the city, he reappeared in the city within a few days. Had it not been for him to follow the rules, I would have torn down its bones." Silum looked at Wyckoff silently when he heard the words. A hymn mainly attracted by the power of His Majesty the Dragon King. A long time ago, I had heard of incredible mutants appearing in the city of tomorrow, so I came here to gain insights. I didn't expect these guys to be magically beyond my expectations. Obviously, this is an unprecedented miracle. It's a pity that I didn't see Your Majesty immediately before. To be honest, I really want to study these powers, for which I am willing to work for you temporarily. Wyckoff said the purpose. Shillong looked at each other. This guy seemed to be attracted by his radiation power, just like the previous wizards. Then throw it to the research group. Although it is a powerful lich, his Shillong is the source of radiation. This guy, after all, is just an admirer of its power. I accept your allegiance, and you will report to the research room later, Silum said casually. Wyckoff was taken aback for a moment. This seems to be different from what you thought. Is it so simple to let me join the research? Is he not afraid of me stealing research materials? Or escape after getting the information? After all, he is a lich. Immortal lich. Originally thought it would cost a lot of money to join. It even made a special phylogeny, sealed part of its soul in it, and prepared to hand it over to Shillong. As long as you master this phylogenetic, after destroying it, you can even directly destroy all the memories of Wyckoff after joining the research room. But it didn't even think that it wanted to break the soul fire. The simple thing was far beyond its expectation. Are you surprised? Shillong smiled slightly. It doesn't have to be that way. I see in your soul fire the dedication to research. You are a true scholar. Can abandon everything for research. That being the case, why should I give you too many restrictions? Shillong looked at each other with a mysterious smile. To be honest, Wyckoff was moved. As a lich, it felt a little water mist appearing in its soul fire. Your Majesty the King of Dragons, I will definitely contribute my life's wisdom to you. Contribute to the future of the city of tomorrow. Wyckoff moved. Very good. I am very optimistic about you. Silum encouraged. Later, he and everyone began to reminisce about the past and began to tell some things encountered in the abyss. At the same time, I also told everyone that the 3-year delay was entirely due to sudden sleep. As for being ostracized by the world, he did not explain. The managers of cities such as Kusk also reported to him the development status of the past 3 years. First, the city has expanded. After these 3 years of development, the city of tomorrow has gained a lot of prestige throughout the continent. Legend has it that there is no oppression and no strict class distinction. The city managers treat the citizens very kindly. There is no arrogance of the nobles in some places. Moreover, the tax rate in the city is extremely low, and the annual income of ordinary residents has reached more than 7 gold coins. Every citizen has surplus food in their homes, and they have spare money to buy some things they like, watch movies and go shopping. Every night, the roads are brightly lit, like day and night. There are still some aliens and humans who like the night on the road where there were not many people. Rarely happens in the whole city. Many inner-city residents do not even close their doors at night. This shows that the law and order is excellent. It has become a paradise in the eyes of some non-local civilians. Therefore, it has also absorbed a large number of admiring citizens dragging their families in. The area of the city has expanded again and again, and the total population has reached more than 3 million. Much of the contribution of these people comes from the kingdom of Starland Wuxia World. Online. Even if Shillong let them go, Shillong Kingdom had internal strife himself. That stupid old king did not die in the hands of Shillong, but died in the hands of his son. It is said that it was the second Prince Morani who cooperated with the king's old licking dog, Omari, and a legend who rode Fernando to the death. At the national mourning, he used the legendary weapon, Vicious Embrace, to ride the king. The back piercing the heart ended the old king's stupid life. Subsequently, the entire kingdom formally divided the Milani Kingdom in the north and the southern Xinglan Kingdom, which still sits on the king city of Xinglan in the south. Both kingdoms have their own flocks, and wars continue to erupt. A large number of residents fled to the city of tomorrow. For them, here is like a paradise, which can keep them away from war. Chapter 232. After Shillong learned the news, he reluctantly shook his head. Just as Silem listened to the reports from his followers, another woman who didn't know came outside the palace. She has silver hair and a long dress of light gauze, and she looks quite beautiful. But in the eyes of Shillong, this is a female silver dragon whose size is not under the female blue dragon. With a graceful and slender figure, smooth and beautiful scales, it is definitely a super beauty dragon. After she came to the palace, her jewel-like eyes scanned around, and when she saw Shillong surrounded by everyone, she immediately walked over. "Are you the younger brother Silin Soderberg?" the female Yinlong asked. "I am, sister, are you?" Silem was very polite to the female silver dragon. After all, they are the same race, same species dragons. It can't be thousands. It was born in one dragon tens of thousands of years ago. This is the dragon of this clan, so naturally you have to be polite. "Hey, Shillong, this is Elsie Mane. Among the clan is the genius silver dragon. I have always been my idol before." Armin introduced with a smile. "Elsie Mane. Shillong has some reflections. I heard of it before when I was in Dragon Island. It is not an ordinary dragon, but a silver dragon with the blood of the ancestors. In adulthood, it has legendary strength. When I was in Long Island, I was a younger generation, and many dragon idols. Many male dragons have always worshipped her as a mother dragon. Among them was the adult silver dragon, Embryo." Shillong had been listening to him when he was filming. This is a female dragon not inferior to Julia, but compared to Julia, she is still slightly younger. "Sister Elsie, it's nice to meet you," Silem said. "Brother Shillong, I am also very happy to meet you, especially to see the city you built. I have lived here for 2 years. The evil races in it have completely got rid of the former evil and coexist peacefully with human beings. This is very rare. I have played on the mainland for 100 years, and I have never seen a few cities so harmonious. You are the pride of our metal dragons." The female silver dragon Elsie boasted. "These are all taught by my mother and my teacher, I have wanted to build such a city since I was young." Shillong said modestly, "Sister Elsie's name. I've heard it all the time when I was in Longdao. It's really a role model for my generation." Shillong and each other complimented each other for a while. Finally, Elsie glanced at the other dragons and said, "Little brother Shillong, I came to you this time to be a guest, mainly because I received the orders of His Majesty Bahamut. He told me that you are still young, and there are 4 5-color female dragons around you. He is afraid that they will affect your young dragon's life outlook and values, so he asked me to guide you correctly." The female silver dragon Elsie said. On his slapped face, he looked holy, as if he had accepted a major mission. Silem listened silently. The 4 female dragons who were turned away from the wall of repulsion couldn't bear it. Julia snorted coldly. "It sounds good, but it was the little dragon who Bahamut sent to wait for Shillong to be lucky." "That's right. The old man Bahamut. It doesn't seem to be a good dragon. Very bad. Actually sent a silver dragon to your majesty with us." Caddis, the mother green dragon, looked upset. The other 2 dragons were also a mockery. "What nonsense are you talking about? Shillong is just a child. Your Majesty Bahamut asked me to supervise him, and he was completely worried about him. Only those female dragons with dirty thinking will have such nasty thoughts. Shillong is only over 40 years old. Are you able to play with the little dragons under 50? Elsie, the female silver dragon, pointed to the nose of the 4 female dragons and cursed. "Huh, a dazzling dragon like Shillong, whose charm will never be affected by age. We just released our love for him in advance." Caddis argued hard. "Huh, shameless you. I dare to quibble." Elsie dismissed. The female dragons were noisy, and Silem was a little big while listening, and quickly stopped and said, Shut up, you guys. When the female dragons calmed down, Shillong continued, Elsie is my sister, Julia. You guys better respect her. No way. Shillong can only favor Elsie. After all, Silver Dragon is a group that is very biased toward the structure of human society, and there is no generational status. Damn it. Caddis gritted her teeth. Julia also hates it. The Metal Dragon clan is this troublesome. Talk about this and that generation. I obviously came before them, but I haven't picked the peaches yet. Hateful. If this continues, you won't be succeeded by this female Silver Dragon, will you? According to Inlong's monogamous habit, didn't I just die? Her sense of crisis suddenly increased. Hmph. When Elsie heard Shillong say this, she nodded in satisfaction and said to several five-color female dragons, Have you heard? As Shillong's sister, you better be kind to me. Yes. A little further away from Shillong, the four dragons were annoyed at hearing this, but knew that it was not suitable to continue talking back to her at this time, and could only secretly sulking. Shillong accompanied his friends who had been separated for 3 years for several days. Then they were dismissed, and groups of painters with good strength were recruited from the city. His game plan can finally start. The first game he has to do is Hearthstone, wrong? It should be called The Legend of Mainland Heroes. Specially collect the data of those mainland heroes, make the corresponding cards, and start the tabletop battle. He did not intend to completely copy the Hearthstone legend of the previous life. It can be said that a lot of changes have been made in this regard. The first major change is balance with your feet. That's right, although the balance of Hearthstone in the previous life has not been very good, at least in Shillong's opinion, it is acceptable, but he started to do it himself. Of course, there is no such professional team to do the balance system. In that case, just do it with your feet. Anyway, his game WuxioWorld.online is the only one in mainland China, so I'm not afraid you don't like this novel thing. He wants to use certain powerful single cards to the extent that he can change the entire battle situation on his own. Of course, correspondingly, he will weaken the quality of some ordinary cards. You know, in the past, the card quality of Hearthstone Legends is generally divided into 4 levels. Ordinary white cards, rare blue cards, purple cards epic, and orange card legends. However, the quality of mini white cards, blue cards, and purple cards is comparable to that of orange cards. This is unscientific in Shillong's view, and it is not conducive to making gold in the future, right? It is developed. He wants to limit the strength of various cards to their respective qualities and add a colorful mythical quality. The quality of the white card is generally limited to 1 crystal, 1 attack, and 1 defense. 2 crystals, attack 2, defense 2, and so on. 10 crystals are up to 10 attack and 10 defense, without any special effects, pure whiteboard. Chapter 233 with a blue card, the figure is generally slightly better than that of a white card, and each cost can be up to a little to 2 points more attack or blood volume than a white card. This is a very critical attribute. Those who don't understand Hearthstone should never underestimate it. For example, the opponent is a 10 crystal, 10 attack, 10 blood white card, and you are a 10 crystal, 10 attack, and 11 blood blue card. No special effects. At this time, you attack him. According to the rules, the opponent's monster is attacked by your monster, 10 HP loses 10 attack, and directly died. Of course, when you are attacking, the other party is also attacking you, and if you get 10 points of attack with 11 HP, you still have 1 HP, and you are still alive. At this time, as long as the opponent has no other spell damage cards in his hand, or the hero skills are not damage types, you can also eat a monster opposite, even if that monster still has 10 attacks and 10 blood. 1 for 2. This is the vast majority of card gameplay. As long as you can change more than 1 card, then this card is powerful. Of course, Blue Castellan will already give them more reasonable special effects, provided that his original powerful attack will be slightly reduced. The purple card is naturally better than the blue card, and the effect is better. Orange cards are already starting to make no sense. Already can basically reach the point of changing the whole battle situation by oneself. For example, the orange card made by Shillong, Julia Hell's Flame. This female red dragon. 8 crystal, 10 attack, 10 life, battle cry. When you descend on the battlefield, cause 2 damage to all the followers. And at the beginning of each round, it can cause 3 damage to a random enemy entourage. Another example is the legend at this time. Buddhist Angel Wit. 7 crystal, 8 attack, 8 life, special effect. As long as you are on the battlefield, it will increase the blood attack by 1 point for all allies. At the beginning of each round, heals all allies for 1 life. And at the end of the round, deals 1 damage to all enemies. And the legendary titans who have relied on him before 8 crystal, 8 attack, 8 life, special effect. Steel body, all damage received is reduced by 2 points. Heals 1 point of life every round. Not to mention the body is completely supermodel, more or less has more than 2 special effects. This is much better than the Hearthstone legend card of the previous life. Maybe some people still feel bad, because the attack and life are not much higher than the white card. But generally speaking, the power of this card is its special effect. Those designed by Shillong. As long as you understand, you will understand how powerful it is. Then came the mythical card. Shillong naturally did his part to add himself here, and it was also the only mythical card in the game for the time being. The Dragon King Silent Soderbergh, 10 crystal, 15 attack, 15 life battle cry. When the Shattered Dragon King descends on the battlefield, pure white light falls from the sky. Destroy all entourages of both enemy and us. Steel body. All damage you receive is reduced by 2 points, and 1 point of life is restored every round. Burning Purgatory. Every round, infinite flames will appear all over your body, causing 2 points of damage to both the enemy and us indiscriminately. Immortal body. You will not be killed or deformed by any effect lower than the orange quality card. The dragon listened to my orders. When Silent Thordberg died, summon all the dragons in the card in your hand to come to the battlefield. Cards that completely disrupt the balance of the game. If you put it in the Hearthstone of the previous life, it is basically equivalent to directly rewriting the name of the game as The Legend of the Dragon King. After 10 rounds, wait until the Dragon King comes on stage to win the game. This shows how shameless Shillong is designing. Of course, he still wants billion. If the opponent knows the effect of the card and aims to keep the card, he can still continue to play the game. Anyway, Shillong has decided to balance with his feet, and novice players in this world will not understand what game balance is. He just wants these guys to burst. Krypton Explosion. Just get rid of those super powerful cards. Shillong first asked the painters to paint those characters according to his requirements. As long as you draw the first picture, you can use magic props to solve it quickly. One after another, he started to copy wildly. Of course, Shillong also invited a large number of mages, including Wyckoff, to develop some anti-theft functions together. For example, encoding all the cards and engraving some secret magic inscriptions. For this technology, Wyckoff fully demonstrated the level of magic that a legendary lich should have. Anything that Shillong explained was completed quickly and perfectly, making Shillong admire it. These numbers and inscriptions will be read by the soul demons as the game console, and if there is an error, it will be alerted. The workload of painting is very large. Shillong directly made 2,000 to 3,000 different cards at once. Then start copying. Most of these cards are white cards. After Shillong is copied, among the 100,000 cards, there is probably only one orange card, 100 purple cards, and 10,000 blue cards. The rest are all it's a white card. Finally packaged, every 10 cards is a pack, and each pack sells for 20 copper coins. Shillong then began to make game consoles. The production of game consoles is actually very simple. He ordered some blacksmiths to make more than 1,000 special iron tables and let the soul demon possess them. These little guys have full burning and simulation capabilities. There are a large number of various powder objects under the iron table for them to simulate the character template on the painting. I have been doing card design and photocopying for nearly half a year. Then, the action is implemented. The first thing to do is to advertise. Choose a few very well-known people from the city and come to an exhibition match in front of a large number of citizens. For this reason, Shillong deliberately issued a citywide announcement in the 8 years since its establishment. To dear citizens of the city of tomorrow, on June 3rd, at 10 o'clock, 3 days later, in the city's Sorrel Square, the great Dragon King, His Majesty Shillong Soderbergh will present a great invention that can change the entire world. At that time, please go to Sorrel Square or in front of the broadcaster on the street to watch Wuxia World. Online, I think everyone will love it. These announcements were posted everywhere on the bulletin board on the side of the street, and the citizens gathered in 2s and 3s and discussed them. You said, the city lord who hasn't seen him in 3 years, what kind of invention he has to show when he comes back this time. Is it capable of changing the world? A crowd of onlookers asked. Maybe the same entertainment thing as a movie? Strictly speaking, didn't this thing change the world? I heard that it has become popular in foreign countries. In recent years, many excellent works have flowed into the city of tomorrow, especially that mercenary legend. Have you seen it? It's exciting. Another onlooker said, how can the invention that can change the world in the mouth of the Dragon King be such a boring thing? I guess it must be some powerful weapon, maybe the kind that can destroy a country at once. Someone guessed. Chapter 234. I also think it's some kind of super powerful weapon. Let me tell you that there are definitely a large number of spies from other countries in our city. The return of the Dragon King this time is definitely to show his strength. Used to frighten neighboring countries, I have heard that the Iron Kingdom next door has been adding troops to the city close to us. The purpose is not pure. A wise man analyzed. A group of citizens are talking here. A sturdy dwarf brutally squeezed the crowd from behind a bunch of people, came to look closer. When he finished watching, the whole person was taken aback. The great invention that changed the world? What a big tone. The dwarf secretly said in his heart, but this Dragon King is definitely not to be peeped. Its individual strength is extremely powerful, and even this kind of existence is said to be something that can change the world. What kind of terrible thing will it be? Want everyone to visit? He listened to the analysis of the people around him while secretly saying in his heart, "After 3 days, you must take a good look at what big moves the Dragon King has, and then pass the information to the motherland." A lot of spies had the same determination in their hearts as the dwarves, until 3 days later. But early in the morning, many people rushed to the square. They found that at this time the center of the square where people had come and go had been isolated, with a square steel table in the middle. The table is sunken in the middle, and the peripheral design is very precise. There are also many seats around. A bunch of mutated radiators guarded the surroundings, and the broadcaster that had been erected next to it had been turned on, perfectly aimed at the steel tabletop. A group of people couldn't understand what it was. Can a strange metal table really have the ability to change the world? They talked around in a low voice. Wait until 10 o'clock. On the North Street, a group of passers-by was quickly lined up. The leader was a demon dragon descendant who looked less than 1 meter, 4 or 5 meters away, walking forward. The city is very famous. Alman, the brother of the city lord, and Kusk, one of the city's administrators, as well as several famous human-shaped female dragons, are walking behind this demon dragon descendant. Only a few people here have seen Shillong's dragonborn body. When the city of tomorrow was first built, among 1 million people, perhaps only a few thousand, or even fewer, have seen it. Just when a group of people was discussing who it was, someone gave them a bit of science. Amidst the noise, Shillong led a group of aliens to a space separated in the middle. Each finds his own seat and sits down. Only Armin and Kusk, and a man in a tuxedo with an amplified microphone in his hand, walked to the steel table placed in the middle. The crowd onlookers soon discovered that both Armin and Kusk held a deck of cards in their hands. The two walked to the opposite table and sat down at will. Then another guy who seemed to be the host with an amplified microphone put the microphone to his mouth and said, "Citizens of the city of tomorrow, it's an honor to see you all here. I am the host and narrator. Now I give you a grand introduction. The invention that is about to be shown before everyone and can change the world is a game. It is a mainland Legend of Heroes, game carefully researched by the great lord of the city of tomorrow, the King of Dragon, and His Majesty Shillong Soderbergh. It brought together heroes from the entire continent and used their experiences and legends to create this game perfectly. It is a game that can make you crazy as long as you have played it. Now I will give you a brief introduction to the rules of this game. I have been talking for 3 or 4 minutes before the brief introduction is complete. Although most of the people below certainly don't understand, the host can't continue to explain. The only thing left is to explain while waiting for the game to start. Afterwards, Armin and Kusk inserted the card into a groove. Suddenly, the original ordinary steel table was instantly activated. Streaks of white light lit up from the center, like a concave surface of a billiard table. An icy metal electronic sound played. The mainland Legend of Heroes has been prepared. Players on both sides should choose their own heroes and throw dice to determine the order of their hands. At this time, the huge broadcaster next to it had already been aimed at this tabletop, putting everything clearly. In front of Armin and Kusk, 9 small figures appeared. A beautiful female mage with a beautiful face, blonde hair and blue eyes. A paladin wearing armor and a heroic appearance. A holy male priest in a priest's robe. A female thief dressed slightly exposed. A rough-looking orc warrior and a hunter with a long bow. A hideous warlock. A shaman who controls the elements, and a strange-looking druid. Armin glanced at it and said, "The incarnation of justice like me, of course, chooses the paladin." While talking, he clicked on the small doll image of the paladin with his finger. Brush. After he clicked, the paladin's doll seemed to be infused with life, and his entire eyes became agile. He slowly walked to the edge of the table corner, put his right hand on his chest, and shouted, "Glory gives me strength." The audience below were all surprised. Is this a life magic item? How come you have never seen it? Feeling so advanced? Some people who don't understand are secretly surprised. What is this? Why does that villain look the same as the real one? The eyes are so brilliant. Can speak? Did the Dragon Lord seal the human soul inside and make it a game? Why are you calling someone to watch? What is the conspiracy in this? I keep watching. Will my soul be taken away? A group of people have complicated minds. But the people above don't care about them, Wuxia world. Online Kusk stretched out his thick finger and clicked on the orc warrior. The little orc warrior, like the paladin, walked out of the 9 small people pile, walked to the corner, suddenly raised his fisted right hand, and shouted, "For the tribe! For honor!" After the two had finished choosing their heroes, the host continued to interrupt and said, "Okay, both players have finished choosing their heroes. His Royal Highness Armin chose the incarnation of justice, the paladin. His hero skill is to consume 2 crystals and summon a paladin recruit with 1 attack and 1 life to join the battlefield. Since ancient times, everyone has known that many people are powerful. Paladin is obviously this kind of profession that takes more people and less people to the extreme. As for Kusk's warriors, the hero skill consumes 2 mana crystals and adds 2 armor points to himself. This is also very powerful. You must know that the lives of both players are only 30 points. When the lives are 0, the game will fail, and the superimposed armor can make you more resistant to beating. Chapter 235. Okay, the next step is to roll the dice and decide which one to take. His Highness Armin has 5 points, and the Cusk Commander has 3 points. Let us congratulate His Highness Armin for his first move. The passionate voice of the host announced Armin's initiative through the loudspeaker. Although the audience underneath still doesn't quite understand, the first player is better than the second player, isn't it? So some Armin fans immediately cheered. His Royal Highness Armin. Your Royal Highness Armin. Come on. Come on. Armin, you are the best. You are the most beautiful. They shouted. There were men and women, and their expressions were quite fanatical. Shouting and shouting. The style of painting is a bit crooked. Armin on the stage saw that he was so popular, and he squinted his eyes with enjoyment and waved to everyone below. In the audience, some people who didn't know why were a little speechless. They yelled to the person and asked, "What are you doing? Why do you think you like Armin so much? I have heard of this guy before. As the younger brother of the city lord Zero, he has been arrogant and unreasonable, and he is clearly a man. Don't you feel perverted in women's clothing? What age are you talking about?" The cheering man stopped shouting and looked at the questioning man contemptuously. His Royal Highness Armin is a male dragon, but it is so beautiful, whether it is male or female. What's the relationship? Can that be called arrogant? That is called coquettish. Humph. A guy who doesn't know anything. While cursing, the man secretly said in his heart, "This idiot, haven't you read Dragon magazine? This super advanced creature has a very high-level transformation technique. There is such a powerful spell. Whether it is male or female, what does it matter? A man can turn you into a woman. I heard that His Royal Highness Armin's property is in the tens of millions. He is the younger brother of Dragon King Shillong again. With such a powerful identity, it doesn't matter whether it is male or female." The questioning man was speechless, watching the answering man continue to turn his head and shout Armin's name. He couldn't help asking himself in his heart, people in this city are not so perverted, right? Is it too different from people in other cities? On the stage, after Armin waved his hand coquettishly, he refocused his energy on the game. He had played a lot of this game before. To be honest, it was a classic that was completely beyond his imagination. For this reason, he hasn't rested for more than 10 days, looking for someone to play with him every day. And those alien races who can come into contact with this game at this stage are not low in strength, naturally energetic, and accompany Armin for a few days at night. There will be substitutions. Although Cusk is not as crazy as Armin, he has mastered the game. Both of them started the next move extremely smoothly. The host on one side watched and explained, "Because Armin is the first player, he can draw 3 cards. Oh, among them, it seems that there are 2 cards that make Armin unsatisfied. He just replaced it. This is the game. Mechanism, the opening has a chance to change cards. Then there is Cusk. Because he is a back player, the game mechanics will compensate him for drawing an extra card and give him a one-time mana crystal. The effect allows you to get an extra crystal in the turn. As long as it is used properly, the sequence may be reversed instantly. Alas, the luck of Cusk's commander seems not so good. He directly put all the 4 cards drawn back into the deck. After the game table was randomly disrupted, he drew 4 cards again. Let us wish him luck and hope to draw a card that is satisfactory to him. Both sides passed the preparation stage. Armin took the first step. His half of the table was obviously much brighter than the half of Cusk. He stretched out his right hand, drew a card again, frowned, and gently pressed a green button on the table. The host said again at this time, "Okay, because it is the first round, there is only 1 mana crystal on both sides." His Royal Highness Armin draws the card first in his turn, but it is a pity that His Royal Highness Armin clearly does not have it at this time. If he only consumes 1 crystal card, he directly chooses to end this round. This is also normal. After all, he can only carry a total of 30 cards, and 1 crystal card is still too weak. Then it was Cusk's turn. He draws a card first, then draws a card from his hand and inserts it into the card slot on the table. Wong said. On the desktop, a soldier with a shield and a big sword appeared immediately. After the soldier appeared, the sword and the shield fought each other, making a boxing sound and shouting, "For the honor of the soldier." There is a sword icon that represents attack and attack under him, which shows 2. The red blood drop is shown as 1. Then Cusk ended the round because there was no crystal. Oh, after the card change, the leader of Cusk actually switched directly to the crystal entourage card he needed, Elite Sword and Shield Warrior. This is an elite soldier drawn from all kingdoms. It is a rare blue. The color card has an attack power of 2 points. The first appearance of the minion, if there is no special ability, cannot attack, so the Cusk command can only end the round. Okay, it's Armin's turn to continue. It's already the second round by this time, and he already has 2 mana crystals. Let's see if he has any cards to use. As the narrator spoke, the corner of Armin's mouth was slightly tilted, and a card was inserted into the battle card slot. Suddenly, there was a cry of griffin on the battlefield. As if it was coming from the sky, several spectators raised their heads in the air stupidly and finally found something was wrong and quickly continued to look at the game in embarrassment. A large number of clouds appeared on the desktop, and a griffin carried a knight in white armor and suddenly rushed out of the clouds. For the kingdom, Griffin Riders attack. Slap, slap, slap. The Griffin Rider flapped his wings and stayed in the air. There are 2 attacks and 3 lives under his body. Wuxia World. Online OK. A very timely blue follower card Griffin Rider that consumes 2 crystals, 2 attacks, 3 lives. Because there is no crystal relationship, His Highness Armin ended the round. Next, it was Kusk who was in charge. He drew a card. What should he do with the Griffin Rider next? This is an elite warrior who has surpassed Kusk steadily. If Kusk can't deal with it this round, the Griffin Rider will kill the elite soldier in the next round. In that case, the Kusk commander would be very passive. Okay, Kusk led him to laugh. He inserted a card into the character card slot. As Kusk smiled, he inserted a card into the character card slot. An extremely sharp battle axe appeared in the hands of the orc warrior representing his character. Swords and a whetstone appeared on the left and right sides of the icon with only blood under the character. The value on the sword is 3, and the value on the whetstone is 2. Chapter 236, Good Fight. But it's a pity that this round I have a purple weapon card, a burning battle axe. Kusk grinned and smiled very brightly. Damn it. Armin frowned secretly. Ha ha ha, Kusk laughed. He directly clicked on his character as an orc warrior, and then said, I want to attack the Griffin Rider. Rokita, brother monkey. The orc warrior spoke an authentic orc language, shouting with extreme passion, meaning blood and glory. He rushed to the opponent's chessboard, then jumped high and smashed the Griffin Rider with an axe -3. The Griffin Rider's blood volume instantly bottomed out, and his figure stabbed the orc warrior with a shot when he disappeared too. Bump. After killing the Griffin Rider, the orc warrior landed on the ground, and he actually had the dubbing when he landed, and the dust flying in the environment rendering. Oh. The orc warrior raised his battle axe and roared before returning to Kusk. At this time, the life of the orc warrior has become 28, and the whetstone has become 1. Most of the audience below still can't understand, but this does not prevent the orcs from making surprise shouts after seeing this scene. The roar of Rokita Monkey is endless. The others looked pretty cool, so they screamed. For a time, the atmosphere was good. Oh, my god. Commander Kusk actually took out a purple weapon card directly in the second round. Burning Tomahawk. This is a very powerful weapon card. The weapon I dream of. OMG. It's amazing. Directly annihilated a 2 crystal entourage, and then the elite soldiers directly attacked the character Paladin played by Armin. The Paladin suffered 2 damage, and because the role played could not counterattack, the elite soldiers returned to the battlefield safely. In this way, the scene is overwhelmingly unfavorable to His Royal Highness Armin. In the next round, under the command of Kusk, the remaining weapon is durable, and with the still alive entourage, it can cause 5 points of total damage to any enemy in the scene, regardless of it. Who is it? I must be wiped out. With the host's explanation, it's the third round. Armin has 3 crystals at this time. He then sent his entourage, but he was immediately wiped out by Kusk in the next round and asked Kusk to stand an extra monster. The situation gradually turned against Armin, until Armin's mana crystal reaches 6 after. Armin, who had always been gloomy, smiled brightly after drawing a card. The neutral face and address made the male supporters underneath scream, Kusk, your good luck ends. After that, Armin inserted the card he just drawn into the card slot. Oh, a dragon roar resounded across the battlefield, full of courage. It actually made the audience faintly surprised. A silver dragon suddenly appeared and roared, Mortal! Witness the power of Soderbergh. Coming. The host excitedly said, This is a legendary card in the legend, based on the card designed by His Highness Armin, Dragon Prince Armin. Let's take a look at his attributes. Consumes 6 mana crystals, 3 attack power, 5 health? Ugh, doesn't it seem right? Why is this attack life so low? There must be some special effect. Let us wait and see. The host said, Because there are too many cards, and some cards are too rare. If you don't know the effect of the opponent's card in advance, you can't know. Shillong did not allow the Soul Demon to indicate the various special effects of the card below after the card character was transformed. The audience at the bottom was also talking about it at this time. After watching this for a while, they can be regarded as understanding some of the situation. It consumes 6 crystals. This attack and health card is obviously incomparable to a white card. So why can this card become a legend card? Huh. After Kusk's turn, he frowned slightly. I remember your previous card was obviously an epic purple card. Why is it now an orange legend card? He, who had fought Armin before, naturally knew the opponent's card. That is a single card that is not powerful. After all, Shillong's design of cards is basically designed according to the strength of the characters. So Armin's rookie is designed as a purple card, which is considered a special favor. But what happened to this legendary card in front of me? Tusk is a bit big, but it doesn't matter anymore. He now has 3 monsters standing on the battlefield after the previous rounds of confrontation. They have 3, 2, 4 attacks, and 1, 2, 3 lives. With the advantage of the battlefield, he has also beaten Armin to the point where he has only 20 lives. He directly took out an Arcanite axe that consumed 5 crystals again, 5 points of attack, and 2 points of durability. Controlling the character ran over to chop off Armin's dragon head. With Dragon Prince Armin, when he died in wailing. Suddenly, a trembling dragon roar sounded. The entire game desktop was shaking. A giant dragon with dark scales and golden streamers in the gap appeared from the simulated cloud above the desktop, and he opened his huge mouth. The boundless flame meteor spews down. Boom, 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 boom. The large flame meteors covered the battlefield below indiscriminately. Bump, bump, bump. All 3 entourages suffered a little damage, and one entourage with only 1 life died on the spot. At this time, Tusk looked carefully at the dragon that appeared suddenly. Young Silent Soderbergh, attack 6, life 8. Tusk saw a burst of chest tightness with this aura. Just this card that was summoned as a summoned object already had a good attack life. The value of 6 crystals is completely right. If it is 1 plus the previous Armin ontology, what is that concept? The equivalent of 6 crystals directly summons a monster with 9 attacks Wuxia World, online life. And this monster also has special effects. Is it strong enough to explode? The 10 crystal white card is much weaker than this 6 crystal legend card. You must calculate it based on the white card crystal, which is the strength of the 12 crystal. Supermodel Super to Grandma's house. You guy, how strong is the card that my lord can change for you? What effect is this? Tusk said with a sense of anger. It's normal with a death word, summoning my young brother. When my brother descends on the battlefield, it will drop a rain of fire and meteor, causing 1 point of damage to the audience. Armin laughed. Very happy. Even if his cards are compared with all legendary cards, they are also very powerful, as long as they can trigger death talk. You guy is really... Tusk was a little speechless. He still had 1 crystal left, but he no longer had a card that only consumed 1 crystal. Chapter 237. And on the scene, his monsters could not kill young Shillong. This only allowed him to target the body representing Armin, the paladin with only 20 lives. Bump, bump. -2 to 4 the paladin had only 14 life remaining. Then Tusk reluctantly ended the round. The host on one side excitedly said at this time, "This is the legendary card, Dragon Prince Armin? It is too powerful. Just 1 card completely reversed the situation. Now it has begun to enter Armin's its round. Wow. His Royal Highness used a paladin's purple professional card, the real silver holy sword. Has 4 attacks and 2 durability. He attacked. Hack a monster directly. He himself suffered 4 points of damage from this attack. He only has 10 life points. And many more. Holy light suddenly appeared on the paladin representing Armin. OMG. This must be a special effect of the purple weapon. He actually recovered 2 lives for himself. Then, His Royal Highness Armin once again sent a card with a charge effect to die directly with Tusk's last entourage. Armin Crystal returned to 0, but his Young Silent card on the field did not take any damage, and he directly attacked Tusk himself. Oh, OMG. When the tornado of flames went down, Tusk lost 6 points of life. Because of the frequent use of weapon cards before, his life was only 16 points. The audience below saw this and applauded for Armin. It seems that the people they support are about to win. As expected of His Royal Highness Armin. Looks pretty. The strength is still strong. Alas, in other words, this game looks really good, novel, and fun. I really want to have fun. Many people in the audience came up with this idea. The battle between Armin and Tusk continues. Tusk has now fallen into a complete disadvantage and has lost control of the battlefield. His monsters were basically cleaned up immediately after they left the field, and they could only survive for 1 round at most. Using this round, he slammed into Armin's face. When he only had 5 points of life left, Armin had 8 points of life left, and the cards in his hand had already been consumed. Armin said with a relaxed look at this time, "Tusk, it seems that I won this game. Don't be too sad, after all. My card is so powerful, you can't lose it wrongly." Tusk just snorted and entered the final draw, swiping. When he drew the last card, Tusk immediately laughed triumphantly. "Ha ha ha. Armin, you are too proud of it. Let's see what this card in my hand is." While talking, Tusk flipped the card directly so that Armin could see clearly. "Damn it. Why did you get this card on the last draw? You have 15 cards left, a total of 1 in 15 probability. You can always draw it. You bastard. It shouldn't be orc. It should be changed to canine." Armin looked at the opponent's card and cursed. Hey, Tusk didn't care about such abuse. Then insert the card into the battle card slot. Then under the eyes of all the audience. Bump, bump, bump. The entire desktop vibrated again. It seemed that there was a huge monster running, and the vibrations were very regular. Finally, a huge green giant who was several times larger than the average monster seemed to have entered from the outside of the table. He has sharp fangs like an orc, and he is very strong. Madly roared, I can't wait anymore. Let me kill you. The audience and the host heard the reputation. I see it is noted below. Cusk Tomahawk. The font is composed of orange, which is obviously another legendary card. Consume Crystal 7. Attack 9, Life 8. When this card appeared, the giant representing Cusk Battle Axe didn't stay at all, rushing to the Paladin of Armin, and the giant axe in his hand went straight to the forehead of the Paladin. Bump. -9. The Paladin's life instantly returns to 0. The whole character's body began to crack, and white light beams shot out from it. Finally exploded. Bump. Game over. The soldier representing Cusk roared, and 2 victory characters appeared. Oh. Unbelievable. Just when everyone thought that the leader of Cusk was about to lose, he relied on the last chance to draw his own card. This is a super powerful legend card. He who possesses the charge characteristic can directly attack during his playing round. 0. The life blow of His Royal Highness Armin. Let us congratulate Cusk. Under the witness of the great Dragon King, he won the game. After the host finished speaking, he took the lead and applauded. Seeing that his leader had won, the orcs underneath were even more excited and yelled directly in the orc language, Rukta, brother monkey. Shillong also took the lead in applauding. When the others saw Shillong applauding, they hurriedly clapped together. Some spies in other countries look a little confused. This is the invention that changed the world? A game? It's completely different from what I thought before. Is this kind of thing worthy of changing the world? It's ridiculous. Humph. After a while, I personally test what is the charm of this game. Let the Dragon King speak crazy words. With thunderous applause, Cusk on the stage raised his head very proudly, with an air of expression, and with the corner of his eyes, he secretly cast aside the angry Armin. My heart secretly said, this bastard. Obviously his card is a piece of rubbish. I asked your brother to change it so strong. You read www.yuukangshu.com, but the result? It's not Lao Tzu who won. Little Tsaiji. Xylem clapped and stood up from his seat. He came to the host and took the microphone like loudspeaker and said, everyone, I believe you have seen the performance plug today. This is a brand new game designed by Binlong himself. I believe that everyone will be addicted to it as long as they play it. Of course, this requires you to have your own deck. But how do you have your own deck? The question is very simple. I have opened 20 hero taverns in various places in the city, and each house has 30 machines for everyone to play. Of course, the premise is that you have to buy the card pack I launched. There will be all kinds of hero cards I designed. When you use the cards and build a set of 30 cards in accordance with the rules, you can start the game. Every year after this game, I will hold a competition. I will give out an annual bonus of 2,000 gold coins as the total bonus. As long as I get the top 16 among them, I will have the opportunity to share this bonus. And for the champion among them, I can even promise him a more reasonable request. Chapter 238, 2,000 gold coins? Can the champion still get the promise from His Majesty the Dragon King? A group of people who were not very interested at first also suddenly showed interest. They began to quarrel. Seeing that his goal had been achieved, Xylem took the city's high levels and left quickly. With the departure of Xylem and others, a group of people who were particularly interested in this game immediately dispersed and began to look for the hero tavern. Soon, they saw this so-called hero tavern. When the first gray-bearded dwarf entered the hero tavern, they saw that the entire space was very huge, with 15 Dragon Kings on the left and right sides. Machine. There were 7 or 8 young men and women sitting behind the not-too-big counter. Packs of card boxes of different colors piled up around them. The first dwarf who rushed to one of the counters, and there was a beautiful woman sitting inside. She smiled slightly and said, does this dwarf man want to buy the card pack of the Legend of the Mainland Heroes? Of course, said the first dwarf who ran in. I ran for hundreds of gold coins. How do you sell the card packs here? Quickly bring me 30. I want to form my deck. Have fun with others. Sir, our decks here are sold in accordance with the regulations of His Majesty the Dragon King. They are sold at a price of 10 cards per pack and 20 copper coins per pack. If you need 30 cards, you need at least 60 copper coins. 60 copper coins? The dwarf was slightly surprised. He is a spy from a neighboring country. He came to buy cards this time, just to experience what the Dragon King calls a game that can change the world. 60 copper coins. Said cheap is not cheap. Said expensive is not expensive. In order to provide information to the motherland, I bought it. Yes. The saleswoman smiled and nodded. Okay. 60 copper coins are 60 copper coins. For 1,000 gold coins. What's the point of investing a little copper coins? The dwarf man pretended to gritted his teeth and bought 3 card packs. When he was about to remove the card, the guy behind him stopped doing it and urged, "Hurry up after you buy it. I want to buy it too." The dwarf spy was taken aback and looked behind him. Good fellow. The aisle in the middle was already full of people. He smiled awkwardly and quickly moved away. Then quickly opened the card package. Browse quickly. White card. Forest wolf. 2 crystals. 2 attacks. 2 blood. White card. Harpy. 3 crystals. 3 attacks. 2 blood. White card. Cowardly kobold. 1 crystal. 1 attack. 1 blood. White card. Strong orc. 3 crystals. 3 attacks. 3 blood. White card. Ogre. 4 crystals. 4 attacks. 4 blood. Blue card. Cloud giant. 8 crystals. 8 attacks. 9 blood. After reading 30 cards, why are all white cards and only 1 blue card? The dwarf was a little confused. He remembered the previous game between Armin and Kusk. It was a blue card, and purple cards appeared endlessly, and there were even orange legend cards. How come there is only 1 blue card on his side? The dwarf man was dumbfounded. He swept around and suddenly saw a rule statement hanging on the wall not far away. He ran over and took a closer look. The rules were quickly understood. Among them, there is 1 card with more than white card, and the card group can only carry 2 identical cards at most, and legendary cards cannot carry duplicate cards. But this rule seems to have nothing to do with him at all, because his card has only 1 blue card. But it doesn't matter. Now that you understand the rules of the game, it's time for a game. He casually found a place to sit down and inserted his deck into the card slot. Soon a young man walked over enthusiastically. Similarly, insert the deck into the card slot, and then it is the same as Armin and Kusk before. The game desktop lights up. Players are asked to choose the hero they play, and throw dice to decide which one to take. The dwarf spy looked at the virtual villain who appeared in front of him, and enthusiastically chose the warrior. There was no way. The previous Kusk used the warrior to win the game. This makes many people think that fighters are very strong. Playing games, of course, is to choose the most powerful one. For the tribe. For honor. The orc warrior shouted passionately, mobilizing the emotions of the dwarf spy involuntarily. He couldn't help but yelled softly. The young man on the opposite side smiled when he saw it. He directly chose the paladin, perhaps one of the men who liked Armin. According to the rules, the two quickly started the match, and the dwarf spy got the upper hand. Most of his decks are cards with very low crystal consumption, and he can always use minions during the initial round. The battle between the two sides is very clumsy. That is, they keep sending entourages, then fight and die each other. Until the 7th round, the man on the opposite side suddenly used a weapon card, Great Sword, which consumed water, 4, attacked 3, and durable 2. The paladin equipped with this weapon directly hacked one of the entourage of the dwarf spy, and then sent another entourage that consumed 3 crystals, and the battle situation changed slightly. The dwarf spy was completely passive, and soon the cards in both hands were exhausted. But at this time the dwarf spy had only 18 HP, and there was no entourage on the field. On the opponent's field, at least 1 2 crystal and 1 3 crystal follower were standing. The battle was very unfavorable. Both sides entered the stage of drawing a card and playing a card. There were 19 cards left in the dwarf spy deck, and 17 of them were all consumed below 5 crystals, which could not change the battle at all. But he was very lucky, and he drew his few big cards in the first game. Cloud Giant, that consumes Crystal 8 attacks Wuxia World. Online Life 9. When the giant Cloud Giant appeared from the battlefield, it let out a loud roar. Then it was the opponent's turn. The guy's luck seemed to be bad. He only drew a small card. After joining the battle, he attacked the dwarf man's hero himself, making the situation even more critical. But in the next round, the Cloud Giant of the dwarf man wielded a giant stick, smashing the opponent with the highest attack with 1 stick, and then again luckily dispatched an entourage that consumed Crystal 5 to stabilize the situation. The battle was quickly turned around and won. This made the dwarf spy sweat secretly, and at the same time a different kind of excitement grew in his heart. The feeling of winning the game seems pretty good. The man who lost the game was a little upset. He said angrily, "Damn, why do you have such a powerful card as Cloud Giant? 1 card hits me 3 or 4. It's not fair." None of his cards are extremely cheating and consume more than 5 crystals. The only blue card has not been drawn yet. Chapter 239, Humph. The dwarf man looked triumphant when he heard the other party's words. "There is no way. Who told my card to be stronger? If you want to beat me, we can continue to play. But, I'm sure, it's still you who lose." He is confident. This game is not bad, but enough to change the world? Obviously kidding. Dear Majesty the Dragon King, the 1,000 gold coins you prepared for me, I reluctantly accepted it. The dwarf spy thought this way. Don't be too proud. Let's continue now, he said, wanting to continue to the next game. But at this time, one side had already waited for a large number of people, and they all felt itchy. How could they continue at this time? One of the middle-aged men who lined up said, "Little brother, get out of the way. Don't see how many people are waiting for you? If you lose, you will give way to others. This is written on the wall. The rules. Besides, you have such a bar of cards. How can you win the opponent?" Although the losing man was dissatisfied, he watched the group of people waiting behind him. There was no other way but to give up his position. Soon, the middle-aged man replaced each other and sat at the game table. He smiled and inserted his card, and started the game with the dwarf spy who had just won. 3 minutes later, the face of the dwarf spy was a bit ugly. He stared at the middle-aged man opposite and said, How do you have 4 rare blue cards?" He felt that he had lost a bit wrongly, and he was a bit dissatisfied. The guy on the opposite side had only 9 rounds against him, and among them he took out 4 blue cards and beat him to a rout. The most important thing is that, in the end, he still got his blue card, Cloud Giant. At this time, his gap was too big with the opponent, which led to the direct loss of the game. When his life returns to 0, the opponent's life still has 28 points. Basically, it hasn't fallen. The gap is too big, right? 4? Are you underestimating me? The middle-aged man on the opposite side smiled triumphantly. "I have 10 blue cards in my deck. I spent 2 silver coins plus 60 copper coins for 10 3-packs of card packs have formed the current deck. How can you fight against me with a junk deck like you?" When everyone around listened to what this guy said, each took a breath. This guy, who didn't understand this game at all, actually spent nearly 3 silver coins in the beginning. 1 gold coin in this world is only equivalent to 10 silver coins. Obviously, the family of this middle-aged man should be very rich. So, the dwarf spy murmured to himself, and was soon squeezed away. He stood there thinking for a moment. Finally he said, "I can't beat that guy. It's all because I spent less money." He thought, "Yes, I only spent 60 copper coins. How could it be possible to beat them for close to 3 silver coins? I still have a little less investment. This bastard. Don't underestimate me as a spy. I'm a spy with public funds." The dwarf spy snorted secretly and went back to the counter to buy card packs. But the line was already a bit long. Go to the queue again, and at this speed, you have to wait at least a few minutes. But the dwarf spy did not want to wait any longer. He wants to finish the deck quickly and find the middle-aged man who dares to underestimate him for revenge. Directly took out 20 copper coins and gave it to the top one. "Give you the money. Let me be here." As soon as the man saw the money, he immediately laughed and spent it. But it was only a delay. What's the big deal? He took the money and left. The front desk was still the beautiful woman before. She smiled when she saw the dwarf spy and said, "Mr. Dwarf, we meet again. How many card packs do you want to buy this time?" "I want to buy 100. No, 200 packs of card packs." The dwarf spy stretched out a finger. Originally only wanted to buy 100 packs, but immediately thought of the last mocking look of the middle-aged man before. He was furious and immediately changed to shout 200. 200 packs of card packs? The woman at the counter was stunned, and everyone around was shocked. "Mr. Dwarf, are you sure? 200 packs of card packs require 4 gold coins." "That's right. That's 4 gold coins. I've been exhausted for half a year to earn money. This dwarf actually took it out to buy a card holder? Is there any mistake? Are dwarves so rich?" The man was speechless. This situation is basically the same as the local tyrants of Xia country in Shillong's previous life. The game didn't play much, so I started playing with tens of thousands of dollars. What do you call ordinary players think? Humph. The dwarf man snorted coldly, looking at the envy and jealous eyes around him. His heart was a little fluttering. "It's just 4 gold coins. Small meaning. Get 200 card packs ready for me." As he spoke, he quickly took out 4 gold coins from his pocket and put them on the counter. The gold coins sparkled and made people dizzy, but no one around dared to move evil thoughts. The strict security of the city of tomorrow is not a joke, especially in a store opened by this kind of city owner. There is no fool who can do stupid things. Okay. You wait a minute." The woman at the counter quickly responded and brought up a box of cardboard boxes with the person in charge of transporting the goods behind, a total of 4 boxes. The stack was almost as tall as the dwarf spy, and the dwarf spy moved directly to the corner. But I couldn't help thinking, this time I spent 4 gold coins to buy a card pack. But it's nothing. I have 20 or 30 public funds every year. Know what is awesome? And I call it investment. To earn the investment of 1,000 gold coins. More for the motherland. To carefully study the charm of this game. Let the Dragon King call it an invention that changed the world. That's right. That's it. There is no selfishness. The dwarf spy started to open the card pack while convincing himself in this way. Because he bought too much, many good people came to see what cards he could open. The dwarf spy didn't care and started to open the cards slowly. He drove quickly, and most of them were white cards. However, because of the large number of blue cards Wuxia World.online, there are not a few. and they have been opened to nearly 70 or 80 packs. Suddenly, he flipped to a purple card. This turned the face of the dwarf spy from overcast to clear in an instant. Damn! I finally got the purple epic card. I thought there was no such card at all. The face of the dwarf spy was overjoyed and looked at the card carefully. A weapon that resembled a knife and an axe was painted on it, and the entire metal body was wrapped in an unknown blood. Warrior exclusive card. Blood Roar Purple Quality Crystal 7 Attack 7 Durable 1. Special effect. Every time you attack, if you attack a follower card, you can use the attack -1 instead of the reduced durability. Chapter 240. This weapon doesn't seem to be so good? Someone couldn't help but said, seeing the attack and durability, it's only 1 point of durability, and it's gone after a single slash. You stupid. This is a purple weapon with special effects underneath. Didn't you see it? As long as you attack the entourage, you can cut 7 knives. Although after each knife, the attack will be reduced by 1 point, but this knife is definitely powerful. Is the card okay? After it is equipped, it is not a problem to hack 4 or 5 monsters. A smarter analyst said. Hiss. After listening, everyone around them inhaled and suddenly said, yeah, this card looks so strong. A group of people talked about it, and a man suddenly said, this dwarf brother, how about you sell this card to me? I'll give it a gold coin. What is a gold coin in a card? Someone was surprised, but the dwarf spy disdainfully said, what are you kidding? I am the one who lacks your gold coin. Oh, that's really a pity. The man shook his head with some regret and stopped talking. The dwarf man quickly added this purple card to his new deck and then continued to open the card. When he opened the last 10 packs, he finally saw a purple card again. The picture shows a tall man with 3 pairs of arms, double horns on his head, and flames wrapped around his body. Mutant Danny's Purple Quality Crystal 6 Attack 6, Life 6 Special Effect. As long as this card exists on the battlefield, all your mutants attack, and your life is increased by 1. Flame Ball. After each round, randomly inflict 1 point of damage on an enemy. Seeing this card, people around shouted, isn't this one of the mutants' captains, Captain Danny? You can actually buy his cards, and it feels great to see the effect. Can it be awesome? This is a purple epic card. Look at this dwarf. He opened 200 packs, a total of 2,000 cards. There are only 2 super rare cards. I envy him with such a powerful card. Then you also spend money to buy it. For gold coins. Go away. Where do I have so much money? The dwarf spy had separated the blue cards from the white ones before. At this time, he took out a total of nearly 200 blue cards and quickly picked out what he needed. Because his purple, Blood Howl, is a warrior card, and the purple card, Danny AO, is a blessing effect of mutants. He chose the direction of fighters and mutants when he formed the cards, quickly assembled the cards, and then put the useless ones into the space ring. This operation was a second time for the person next to me. I thought it was an ordinary ring, but I didn't expect it to be an expensive spatial ring. The fruit is a local tyrant. This dwarf definitely runs a weapon shop at home. A group of people thought. Of course, this is actually given by the country as a spy. After the dwarf formed the deck, he returned to the previously failed machine triumphantly. At this time, the middle-aged man who despised him was still sitting there. He had defeated 3 opponents before. His opponents are all Mingxin who barely scored 30 cards. Where is his opponent with 10 blue cards? He was directly hammered by a middle-aged man. At this time, the opponent opposite the middle-aged man chose a beautiful female mage. The two have fought until the 6th round. But there are no more monsters of female wizards on the field, only 2 monsters of middle-aged men as warriors. The situation is doomed, and every few rounds the middle-aged man defeats the enemy again. He proudly said, it seems. My strength is too strong. It's really boring to play with you rookies. Let's get some excitement. How about a little bet? What about losing to winning? 10 copper coins in a round? What stupid thing are you talking about? This is not your house. If you want to play a game of 10 copper coins, buy a machine yourself and go back and play with your friends. This is a place for everyone to play together. Someone said angrily. The people on one side also made a few noises. Seeing nothing, the middle-aged man murmured to himself, a group of weak and poor ghosts. Forget it. We did not pull it down, we continued. Then a man wanted to sit down, but before he sat down, he was stopped by the dwarf spy. The dwarf spy said to the man, wait. Then he said to the middle-aged man, 10 copper coins per round, I will play with you. Hey, aren't you the defeated player before? Why did you come back so soon? The middle-aged man was a little surprised. He smiled and said, you only have 1 or 2 blue cards in your deck. Just dare to continue with me. Fight. This middle-aged man had been fighting with other people before. They were all surrounded. He didn't know that after the dwarf spy went out, he bought another 200 packs of card packs. I lost to you before. It was totally an accident. I will never lose this time, the dwarf spy said. That's all right. You want to send me money, I thank you, it's too late. Although there is only 10 copper, but it is also money anyway. This will make me a little more energetic. The middle-aged man laughed. Then the dwarf spy wanted to sit down, but the waiting man didn't want him to take the place and blocked him. Hey, Mr. Dwarf, don't you know if you come first? Now it's my turn. It's really troublesome. The dwarf spy murmured, eager for revenge. He directly took out 10 copper coins and handed it to the other party. Take it. Is it mine now? The man took the copper coin and immediately smiled and said, Sit down. Sit down. Humph. The dwarf spy snorted and sat down. The middle-aged man on the opposite side said, You guys are quite rich. You want others to give 10 copper coins for every position. Does it matter? The dwarf spy said to the middle-aged man while inserting the deck into the card slot and activating the game. Anyway, you will return the money to me soon. Very confident? The middle-aged man smiled slightly. Both sides chose fighters, and the middle-aged man took the lead. First round. He directly played a 1 crystal blue card Kingdom Guardian attack 2, life 1. With this card with 2 attacks, the middle-aged man has been killed twice in the second round with the opponent's 2 crystal card. He knew it was a very good card. When he ends the round, it's the turn of the dwarf spy Wuxia-world.online, he sneered coldly. Play the reward card as a backhand and get an extra mana crystal this round, so that he temporarily has 2 mana crystals. He directly sneered and inserted a card into the card slot. A mutant man with flames appeared on the battle table. Consume crystal 2. Attack 2, life 2. The special race, mutant, is marked below. After the flame man appeared, he said, Taste the smell of flame. Stupid guys. As he spoke, a flame ball appeared in the hand of the flame man, and then tossed it directly to the Kingdom Guard. -1 The life of the Kingdom Guard returns to 0 and disappears. Chapter 241. This? How could this be? The middle-aged man was a little surprised. What is the effect of your card? Haha. This card of mine is a battle cry card that can randomly deal 1 point of damage to an enemy entourage. Now you have no cards on the scene. Not bad. You are very smart. You bought a lot of cards after losing to me? The middle-aged man woke up. But he was not in a hurry, because he also had a very powerful blue card, one that was stronger than the others. He is still full of confidence in victory. Okay, now it's your turn, said the dwarf spy, pressing the end of the round. He has no mana crystals anymore. The middle-aged man draws a card and randomly plays a white card with 2 crystals, 2 attacks, and 2 blood. He doesn't have any other good 2 crystal cards in his hand, and he wants to let this card and the opponent die. Then the round ends. Once again, it was the turn of the dwarf spy. He smiled more happily after drawing the card, and directly inserted the drawn card into the battle card slot. A thin mutant man appeared on the battlefield immediately. Consume crystal 2. Attack 1. Life 1. This mutant looked sickly, but the face of the dwarf spy was very proud and said, I use this card's battle cry. Let my flame mutant gain +1 attack life. After the dwarf man's voice fell, the thin mutant man's hands gathered a white light, and quickly passed the white light into the flame mutant's body. Sacrifice my strength. Make my teammates stronger. Sneer. After absorbing this white light, the flame mutant's body slightly expanded and the attack became 3, and the life became 4. This made the middle-aged man's heart jump when he saw it, and at the same time he found something wrong and asked, Didn't you say that the attack life is increased by 1 each? Why is the life increased by 2? Hey, what are you anxious for? I haven't finished talking. If the blessing object is a mutant, then you will get an extra 1 life bonus. The dwarf spy is extremely proud. All right, flame mutant, attack the enemy. Taste the power of the flame. The flame mutant roared and quickly rushed into the enemy's field. The flame wound fist slammed the enemy's 2 attack and 2 blood entourage, and was counterattack lost 2 blood. Then he returned to his camp. Now I still have 2 followers on the court, but you don't have one. The dwarf spy smiled triumphantly. This game, there is absolutely no possibility of losing. He is determined, because his deck is much better than the opponent. This was built by him for 4 gold coins. After that, as he thought, 1 round and 1 round passed. The dwarf spy was completely pressed down to fight, when it was the turn of the dwarf spy again in the 9th round. The middle-aged man opposite was already sweating profusely, and there was no entourage on his court. It means that his own life is only 7 points, and there are still 3 followers on the dwarf warrior field, and the combined attacks exceed 7 points. The middle-aged man has realized that he has lost, but he hasn't surrendered yet. I lost. Hurry up and attack me with your entourage, he said. The people who watched this time were also talking about it. This dwarf, the deck is too powerful. Have you ordered it? All the cards he issued are blue. He has so many rare blue cards like this. Yes? I only have 2. My friend only has 1, and we both bought 3 packs of cards. Cut. You don't know about that. I just saw this dwarf just now. Someone said, this guy just bought 200 card packs at once. There are also 2 purple epic cards in the deck. What? 200 packs of card packs? Why is this dwarf so rich? Bastard. If I have so much money, I will buy 300 packs. Someone said. So you just bought 200 packs? Damn it. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth after listening. Hey, you taught me. The dwarf spy looked at the other person angry, surprisingly happy. He drew a purple card from his hand and turned around. Let's take a look. This is what my purple epic card. Gorehowl. The middle-aged man looked carefully. Warrior exclusive card. Blood Roar purple quality crystal 7, attack 7, durable 1. Special effect. Every time you attack, if you attack a follower card, you can use the attack -1 instead of the reduced durability. Damn, what a great card. The middle-aged man has played several rounds, so he knows how powerful this card is. Swearing in his mouth, but envy in his heart. I'll use it mercifully to send you out. The dwarf spy inserted this card into the weapon slot on the table. In the hands of the orc warrior who represented the character on the desktop, a weapon that looked like a knife but not a knife, and an axe but not an axe appeared immediately. Bloody light entwines. Attack the opponent's character. The dwarf spy issued an order. Rokita, brother monkey, for blood and glory. The orc warrior roars. A charge to the edge of the battlefield of both sides, and then take off until the opposing soldier's head slashed down. -7. Oh, after being hurt, the enemy's character uttered a desperate roar after returning to 0, and then Peng's blast broke into pieces. Win. 2 big blue characters appeared on the side, representing the dwarf spy. I won. Thank you for your 10 copper coins. The dwarf spy smiled happily. The middle-aged man snorted angrily, took out the money, and left quickly. As the middle-aged man left, the others quickly sat down and began to challenge the dwarf spy. But the difference in the strength of the deck is too great. Although the dwarf spy has encountered a few times with the same strength as the previous middle-aged man, and the luck is not good, he still wins a streak with the excellent card quality. A group of onlookers have been around him, pointing at him, saying compliments and envy. This makes his heart float. When will humans envy them dwarves? We met before Wuxia World. Online, will you despise their height in your heart? And now, looking at the envious faces of those guys, the heart of the dwarf spy was satisfied like never before. After playing for nearly 2 hours, he ordered a few glasses of ale and sipped a small drink while playing, which was very comfortable. At this moment, the dwarf spy suddenly heard huge exclamations. The card is out. The legendary card is out. Then the whole hero tavern began to coax. The crowd surrounding him and looking at him with envious eyes disappeared instantly, and everyone began to squeeze towards the front desk. Don't squeeze. Suddenly, a loud roar sounded. It was the maintenance staff of the tavern. Because of the official background, it was maintained by Shillong's servants and mutants, which quickly separated the crowd. The dwarf spy was also a little itchy at this time. He spent 4 gold coins and didn't get the legendary card. He wanted to see which lucky guy got it. Chapter 242. With extraordinary power. He quickly squeezed into the front row and saw a young man of medium size being protected by a guard in the middle, holding a card in a daze. This man has a little belly and looks like a very ordinary young man. It is not a rich family to look at his clothes. Damn it, is this kind of little character stealing my legend card? The dwarf spy was a little depressed. It was noisy around, and a group of separated people clamored to see the legendary card. The young man with a slightly convex belly still looked at the scene blankly. He had just come to buy a card pack, and he just came out with an orange legendary card. This card may be rare, but these people are not so excited, right? Hello, these gentlemen. What is your name? A mutant guard with a frog face asked the young man. Everyone is not surprised at this strange face. My name is Androni. Hello, guard brother. The young man Androni replied politely. Hello, Androni. Congratulations on the orange legendary card. This is one of the noble cards in the entire game. You see, everyone looks at you enviously. They all want to know what the card you issued is like. Can you satisfy everyone's wishes? The guard said with a smile. Huh. Androni hesitated, then raised his card to face everyone. The picture shows a resolute, middle-aged paladin, wearing gold armor and holding a 2-handed sword wrapped in flames. The cloak behind him drifted in the cold wind. His body was shrouded in holy light. Tyrion Fording Paladin's special card quality. Legend Crystal. 7 attack. 7. Life. 7. Taunt. Divine Shield. Death Talk. When Tyrion Fording dies, equip your hero with a 5 attack, 3 durable Ashbringer. Oh, great. Is this the legendary card? If I own it, I must be the best in this tavern, someone said. Don't you think the name Tyrion Fording is familiar? Someone said. Of course I'm familiar with it. This is the famous Sin Nemesis in the Holy Light Empire, the greatest empire on the mainland, and one of the legends closest to the demigod powerhouse. Lord Tyrion Fording. Haven't you heard of it? Someone said contemptuously. It turned out to be this one. It's no wonder that he can appear as a legend card in His Majesty Shillong's Legend of Heroes card. and has such a powerful attribute. Someone sighed. This card. I have 2 gold coins. Sell it to me. Just as these people are talking about it, a young man in luxurious clothes suddenly said. The people around were shocked when they heard this. 2 gold coins per card? At the same time, everyone looked for fame, and someone immediately recognized the young man. I know this guy. It is the son of shop manager Bryn. Their family has opened 5 merchandise stores in the city. Cut. The prodigal son. The money his father earned was wasted by him. Sooner or later he lost all his net worth. Buying 1 card and 2 gold coins. What do you think? Some jealousy said. But immediately someone called out a higher price. I'll give 3 gold coins. Brother Androni, sell me your legend card. The speaker is the middle-aged man who lost to the dwarf spy before. 3 gold coins? The people who were jealous of the young and wealthy were a little bit stunned. Don't these guys treat money as money at all? Huh. The young shopkeeper Bryn looked at the middle-aged man in surprise, frowned and continued, I'll pay 4 gold coins. Hee, I'm out of hardware coins, the middle-aged man continued. Hardware coins? Oh my god. I have spent all of this money for a year of hard work. This person actually used it to buy a card? Many people who joined the fun could not understand. You won, if you want to buy it. Shop manager Bryn's son shook his head and did not continue to increase the price. He is the son of a businessman and was raised by his father as a businessman since he was a child. His vision was extremely sharp. At this time, he had already discovered some of the commercial value contained in the mainland hero cards. In his opinion, this kind of legendary card should be worth a lot of money. He originally planned to buy it and resell it. But the price of hardware now exceeds his expectations, and he has to stop him. The middle-aged man showed the smile of a winner, and then said to Androni, Little brother, I will buy your card with hardware. What do you think? 5 hardware. To be honest, Androni was moved. He was only the first pack, and he issued a legend. He had no idea about the value of the card. Just when he thought he was making a lot of money and was about to agree, the guard on one side stopped him and said, Brother, I think you'd better wait. It's too hasty to agree so soon. Huh. Androni was taken aback. Big brother, this is a hardware coin. I'm still waiting? The people around are also confused. Wait, the hardware is still a bit lacking in my opinion. If you believe me, you were waiting for about 10 days. How are you thinking about selling? Frog's face guarded. I. Androni hesitated. The middle-aged man was disturbed by the frog's face and said a little uncomfortable. You are not satisfied with the hardware coins? Don't sell it, forget it. I will not continue to increase the price. He felt that hardware was already at its limit. Androni looked at the middle-aged, then at the frog face, and finally chose to listen to the frog face. How can you not be greedy? Maybe the price has really increased in the past 10 days? Sorry, I still don't want to sell it now. He refused. Forget it, I won't force it. The middle-aged man shook his head. Can you spread out a bit? I want to buy a card holder. The people around may have been shocked by the middle-aged man's local tyrant, and he really gave him away Wuxia World online to let him come to the counter. I saw him put his left hand on the ring of his right hand. A blue light flashed, and 5 finely crafted gold coins appeared on his left hand. Here are 250 packs of card packs, he said. Oh, okay. A group of front desk staff quickly brought him 5 boxes of cards. The middle-aged man took away the card box directly, and then spied to the dwarf in the crowd. Mr. Dwarf, I will let you know what real strength is. Wait, when I go home and finish opening the card box, I will come to fight you again. Speaking, the middle-aged man left slowly. The bustling tavern only quieted slightly. Androni bought 3 packs of cards again, and after forming his own deck, he found a machine and started playing. Many people gathered around him to watch the power of the legendary card. Chapter 243. Not to mention, a single legend card will make Androni win more and lose less. The entire Legend of Heroes tavern is very hot. Even if it waits until midnight, there are a lot of people playing games. Card packs are selling better and better. Every day there are so few lucky people who open legendary cards. The strength of these cards is without exception. They are extremely powerful. And because of the heat of the past few days, in the game of Legend of Heroes, some game players have raised him to other heights. For example, there have been gambling houses that specifically place bets to suppress the outcome, as well as the rivals' contest for money. These Shillong knew it and would not stop it. This is like the gambling of the previous Blue Star, and it is the inevitable result of an industry's development reaching its peak. This also makes the value of certain cards soar. The first legendary card sold, worth 10 gold coins, but on the second day of the sale, the seller regretted it because someone sold 15 gold coins that day, then 20 gold coins. The price of 25 gold is rising steadily, because as more people play, they also discover the rarity of legendary cards. You spend hundreds of gold coins to buy a card pack, which is hard to get out. Androni is a smart guy. After 10 days, seeing the price still rising, he didn't rush to sell. After another month, 10 more hero taverns opened in the city of Tomorrow, and the business was extremely hot. Then more and more foreigners were attracted to come, and then asked Shillong to also open in their territory. Shillong himself agreed that in the 8 years after the city was built, he also had a lot of radiation in neighboring countries. It is perfect for slow development. The legend of mainland heroes also slowly changed from a one-city game to a multinational game. In this case, the price of the general legendary card is basically stable at more than 40 gold coins. As legendary ultra-rare cards, those who have good things count them all. In more than a month, a total of about 60 cards have been produced, of which a dozen of them are duplicates. These cards are all extremely powerful, but there are always strengths and weaknesses. Someone directly calculates the value of these cards. Among them, Tyrion Fording is among a bunch of legendary cards, which are also relatively powerful, asking for 45 gold coins. This time Androni did not hesitate and sold the legendary card directly. Like the person who sold the legendary card before, he became a member of sudden wealth. In the face of this person, Shillong deliberately asked the newspapers in the city to publicize their deeds, throwing the topic of ordinary people's wealth to the public. This directly attracts a bunch of guys who want to take good luck. Even if they don't play games, they still have the heart of a gambler. They buy 1 or 2 packs of card packs and open them. Don't make a fortune directly? In this atmosphere, the legend of mainland heroes is getting more and more popular. Androni sold the legendary card, but did not accept it. He spent 5 gold coins to buy 250 packs of card packs, and then formed his own card. Start fighting the hero tavern again. Nowadays, playing games in the hero pub has become a trend. Back to the tavern where the card pack was originally purchased again. It was night. The entire tavern was brightly lit, one by one, fighting on the game table, and they were surrounded by at least a dozen people. Just as Androni was about to find a place to wait, suddenly an announcement sounded. Welcome to the legend of the mainland heroes. The great player, Dwarf Act, with the diamond rank starts the game, and you are eligible for a 10% discount on items purchased in this store. It's the Dwarf Actor. I didn't expect that he was also in the diamond rank. I had played against him before, and he was only gold at that time. Damn, he must have spent a lot of gold coins to buy card packs. One was originally onlookers. The person suddenly raised his head and gritted his teeth to the second floor. Now, the entire hero tavern has opened a rank system more than 20 days ago. From low to high, they are bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamonds, master, and king. The upper and lower floors in the tavern are the dividing points of the two worlds. The players below are only bronze, silver, and gold, while the ones above are platinum, diamonds, masters, and kings. However, the current highest rank is nothing more than a diamond. This is a privilege. As long as you start the game, there will be a public announcement of the tavern, and you will be eligible for discounts on purchases. Every time when this kind of amplifier sounded, the people downstairs always looked envious. This is no longer just a game, but a status symbol. As long as you play in the hero tavern, you will work hard towards the top. When Androni heard the announcement, a little envy flashed across his face, but he immediately tightened his hands on the newly formed deck. Soon, I will be that person too. Ask why. Among the 5 gold coins he had spent before, let him draw out a legend card. The King of Flame Sulfuron quality, Legend Crystal 7 Element Family Attack 8, Life 8 Special Effect. At the first appearance, all enemies of the character cause 2 points of damage, and after each round, they can cause 8 points of damage to a random enemy. And every round thereafter, it will cause 2 damage to all characters. Unable to conduct ordinary attacks. Stronger than Tyrion Fording before. It is also better than other cards in Iji. Androni, who owns this card, made a splash in the hero tavern. With more wins and fewer losses, his rank has risen rapidly. Aroused the good people to discuss the value of his legendary card. Some people say at least 50 gold coins. Some people say that 50 is too little. At least 60. Some people even say 70. Finally, 100 gold coins were directly marked in the legendary card collection. Completely high price. This makes the mainland hero legends even more popular, and every day the tavern is crowded with people. So Xylem had to continue to expand, and at the same time, because of the heavy consumption of Soul Demon, he returned to the Abyss again. This time he had the direct coordinates of the 15th floor. After coming here, he went straight to the molten heart of the Balrog King. Let it help catch the Soul Demon, which makes this guy angry. Dignified Abyss Lord WuxiaWorld.online. When did someone call and drink like this? However, he had no choice but to catch Zero and smoked all over his body to catch the Soul Demon. This guy's efficiency is really high, but within a week, he caught back 5 or 6,000 Soul Demons for Shillong. And Shillong then left with satisfaction. Suffren, who was left only angry, began to destroy the surface frantically. Returning to Shillong, the city of Tomorrow naturally continues to make game consoles, then continue to add taverns in the city. At the same time, it radiates to surrounding countries. To be honest, Shillong was worried at first that the demons were sealed in the game console. Leaving him would be passive and sabotaged, but later found out that he was thinking too much. These spirit demons like human beings to play Legends of Heroes on his possessions because they are producing intense emotional fluctuations every second. It is the favorite delicacy of the soul demon. Because of this, these spirit demons did not have any problems with their performance. Chapter 244. And with the fiery mainland hero legend. Our previous dwarf spies have too much money due to excessive Krypton gold. During this period of time, he was crazy indulging in the Legend of Heroes, and he has reached the rank of master. Of course, this is inseparable from the nearly 80 gold coins he spent. After defeating the middle-aged man, he forged a bad bond with that man. The two were crazy about Krypton gold, and they fought wildly, winning half and half. This fragile balance was quickly broken. The middle-aged man spent 40 gold coins and directly bought a legendary card. Then, the dwarf spy was frantically beaten. The outcome of the two became 82, 8 middle-aged men and 2 dwarf spies. And this gap has not been effectively improved as the dwarf spy slows down. Finally, the dwarf spy made up his mind after more than 10 days of thinking. Become the necessary space ring for spies. Also purchased a legendary card. While fighting the middle-aged man again and again, he slowly became one of the few Grandmaster-level gods in the tavern. Whenever he walked into the tavern, he would see countless admiring eyes. Whenever he starts a game, you can hear the comforting voice, "Welcome to the Legend of the Mainland Heroes. The great player, Dwarf Ackert, with the Grandmaster rank starts the game, and you are eligible for a 10% discount on items purchased in this store." That's right, the Dwarf Actor is exactly the name he gave in the Legend of Heroes. A simple sentence makes the dwarf spy obsessed. He felt that he was no longer a spy in a gutter hook, but a dazzling star like those legendary in the kingdom. Everyone admires him, envy him. Because of this, he doesn't regret selling the space ring. Although I do not regret it, some bad things happen because of this. For example, he is almost out of money. Fortunately, the liaison officer sent by the country is coming soon. He is ready to weave a white lie to get more gold coins. Today is the day to meet the annual joint person. Night. Inside a cabin, the dwarf spy lay on his little bed as usual. Suddenly there was a trembling knock on the door. The dwarf spy quickly straightened up and walked to the door, cursing as he walked. "Damn! Who is knocking at the door so late? Don't you know I'm in a bad mood today?" "In a bad mood? Are you getting guano on your head?" "Then you are lucky," said the person outside the house. The code is right. The dwarf spy's eyes sharpened and quickly opened the door to let the people outside come in. When the contact person came in, the dwarf spy quickly closed the door. The two sides began to look at each other. Then the two were stunned at the same time, and the dwarf spy pointed at each other and said, "You? Aren't you sorry for St. Pol?" He was a little dazed. In previous years, every time the motherland sent people to contact, they were strangers who had never seen him before. But what is this time? This guy, the dwarf spy, is very familiar. It is the tavern saint who gained fame in the Hero Tavern a month ago. With a professional legend card of a mage in your hand, the mage can play superbly in one hand. He seems to be polite and sorry. Every time he says it makes people want to beat him. The two often played against each other in the tavern, winning each other. But is such a person actually the one who came to contact him? Too unreliable, right? You are the Tavern of War, Dwarf Act? It was also shocked. He was also impressed by the fighters of Dwarf Act. Aren't you a secret person? Why have I been meeting you in the Hero Tavern for a while? Fashing asked. He really didn't know the real name of this sage, only that his game name was Polbo. The dwarf spy was a little embarrassed to face this problem, but he immediately reacted. "Of course I am going to find out the details of this game. You don't even know that in the first 2 months, Nazalon Soderbergh, but claimed that this game can change the world. How can I not try to say something so special?" In the end, the heroic face of the dwarf spy is righteous. His Fazhin took a slight breath. This guy made a lot of sense, but he didn't believe it at all. "Are you trying too hard? As far as I know, you will play Legend of Heroes in Pub 4 every day from 8 in the morning, and then wait until close to 10 in the evening. You play more than 14 hours a day, as a secret officer. Besides exploring the secrets of this game, don't you need to do anything else? This is the most important thing at the moment. According to my own judgment," the dwarf spy cherished. "Forget it. I won't tell you this." Sage shook his head, quickly took out a purse from the space ring, and exchanged information with the dwarf spy. But the dwarf spy took the money bag, but suddenly felt that something was wrong. The weight and texture are wrong. He quickly grabbed the connector who wanted to leave. "You! Wait." His expression became severe. "What are you doing? Let go. I still have a lot to do." The sage was anxious. The arm was flicked, but the dwarf's power was not so big. He couldn't get rid of it after several flicks. The dwarf spy ignored him and opened the purse with one hand. "Pour out all the contents inside." Jingle bell, this is the sound of coins falling to the ground. A series of gold, silver, and copper coins fell to the ground. When the dwarf's spy saw it, his face changed drastically. While Fashion's face turned pale, the dwarf's spy gritted his teeth and said, "Asshole, can you tell me why there are only 6 gold, 5 silver, and 30 copper coins here?" You know, he had about 30 gold in previous years. This year, before he could speak, more importantly, he encountered this kind of incident, which is really strange. What the did you do? Why are my gold coins so much less? The dwarf's spies stared at each other closely. Fashing tried to speak several times, but did not say anything. After coming down several times, his forehead was covered with sweat. There is no way. Recently, the motherland has made scientific research. Not a small breakthrough, a large amount of funds is required. So other funds have been reduced. You should understand it. Huh? Are you true? The dwarf spy asked suspiciously. Of course. You lied. The dwarf shouted in a low voice. Don't want to deceive me. My gold coins would never be less. But you must be your own choice to make my gold coins less. Say, what did you do? Speaking of this, the dwarf spy suddenly thought of something. Your card. Was it bought with gold coins that should have been mine? No. This is all my own money. Fashing was shocked and quickly argued. Damn it. It really is my money. The dwarf spy could see it, and this would be even more furious. He raised his right fist high, wishing to punch this to death. You bastard. You actually used my money to buy a card pack? That Mage Legend card also used my money? Yes. Fazhen could only admit when the incident was revealed. I am using your money. What can be done then? Things have already happened. You can kill me or not. Tell you honestly, I take my own money and your money to buy a card pack. Buy a card. Let me tell you, although I came to this city not long ago, I also know that the laws here are strict. If you do it to me, tomorrow you will definitely not be able to eat in your pocket. Fa Sage has completely spared it. Good, you bastard. The dwarf spy was anxious, but he really didn't dare to do anything in the city of tomorrow. At this time, everyone would not be better off as long as the opponent shouted. Those mutant sheriffs in the city of tomorrow are not vegetarian. Hey, I can't do anything about it. I tell you, let go. I still have an important task assigned by the motherland to do. Part 2. Asshole. You must want to go to the Hero Tavern to play games, right? Don't think I don't know. The dwarf spy showed a fierce look and finally said, Give me your legend card. I don't need to hold you accountable for greed of my gold coins. The fault. What? Fazhen was startled by the words of the dwarf spy. I want my legend card. This is impossible. You bastard. Don't force me. I'm really angry right now. I don't even know what I will do, the dwarf spy said. Whatever you want. Kill me if you have one. Tell you, there is no way to want my legendary card. Fazhen looked dead. The two looked at each other closely. In the end, the dwarf spy had no choice but to let go of the magic sage and let him go. He really can't help the other party. Forget it. Just pick up the money on the ground and talk about it. In other words, it is more than 6 gold. As long as I save some flowers, I can definitely stick to it. Do not care. It's important to go to the Hero Tavern, or you won't be in a hurry. The dwarf spy picked up the purse, took his deck, and went straight to the Hero Tavern. Time began to pass slowly again. The enthusiasm of the mainland hero legend continues. Shillong relied on this and attracted a lot of money. This allowed him to begin to develop the power of the mutant radiation beast. Shillong has also been developed before, but after these beasts mutated, like mutants, some will consume a lot of food. World.online. This is also the reason why Shillong suspended before and did not produce them. No money, can't afford it. The funds of these mutant beasts are all deducted from his vault. They are just beasts with low IQ, and they can't be self-reliant. And most of the mutant radiating beasts will become extremely irritable and difficult to control. But now Shillong is rich. Don't care about these small problems at all. There is also the issue of the 4th order mutated radiation man made by Shillong blood. He started experimenting with the new prisoners again and let them mutate. Not to mention, after many years of research by the wizards. Originally, the possibility of ordinary people progressing to Tier 3 mutants went from less than 10% to now close to 15%. Chapter 245. This allowed him to quickly mass-produce 60 to 73rd level radiation men before consuming the prisoners. Then start to advance them to Tier 4 with blood. The probability is like the Time Dragon said, when 17 people die, only 2 are advanced. The first guy to advance even more directly possesses legendary power. At that time, he directly attacked Shillong, and Shillong was in the state of Dragonborn, which was nothing but a legendary power. However, his strength is still stable, but it can't quickly subdue the opponent. In the end, fierce fighting took place in the suburban test site, attracting the red dragon Julia, who has been not far from Shillong. With the help of the opponent, it was considered a uniform. At that time, Julia was very puzzled. According to what she knows about Shillong, shouldn't she just slap her and let the other party be honest? But the result? Actually played for 10 minutes. This is very unreasonable, she asked Shillong. But Shillong only said that he wanted to try the strength of this new legend. It's impossible to test after changing back to the body of a dragon. This made Julia suspicious and began to observe carefully. She found that Shillong had not rested every day since the return of the abyss and had never returned to the body of the dragon. This is even more unreasonable. Before going to the abyss, Shillong always kept the dragon's body and liked to sleep with his eyes closed at night. But now it hasn't. It seems to be on guard every day. Either he was busy with the game of mainland hero legends, or he was studying the mutant radiators, and occasionally when he was free, he would pick up a book and watch it. Julia saw with the extraordinary vision of the dragon. It's all about gravity, repulsion, and gravity. It's weird. One of the two mutant radiators has reached the legendary combat power, and the other is only infinitely close to the legend. It should be known that their combat power was not too good when they were at the third-level mutants. They can only be regarded as average, but despite this, the problem of extreme increase in combat power has also appeared. After Shillong used the juice test of the world subtree, this thing directly let Cusk survive the difficulty of the advanced third-order mutant. However, when the prisoner was tested to mutate into Tier 4, the effect was not great, and only one mutated again after wasting 3 drops. It also has a combat power close to legend. But these 3 are also stingers. After all, they all survived in Shillong's laboratory. I naturally held a grudge against Shillong, who didn't take their lives seriously. Shillong did not continue to produce this high-end combat power. Too much at one time would easily cause turmoil, especially now that he does not want to change back to his true body. 1 year passed slowly. The first game of the mainland Legend of Heroes is also over. The champion was a man named Androni. This guy made Shillong advertise for him a lot of time. From a typical Diaosi to a winner in life, she finally took a beauty named Mingdaji. As the champion, Shillong rewarded him with 1,000 gold coins. As for the wish that this guy promised made Shillong slightly surprised. He wanted to let himself enter the game of Legend of Heroes, become a card with a name and a surname. Facing this wish, Shillong naturally gave him this qualification. Androni quality, Legend Hunter career card. Hero card Crystal 8 effect. Replace your hero with this card. And in this round, summon up to 7 1 attack and 1 bloodhounds with charge attributes. Gain 10 additional armor this round. Acquired skill. Release the dog. Consuming 2 crystals, summon 2 charging beast hounds with 1 attack and 1 blood. It is a very good legend card. This makes all players envious. After all, with their own strength as ordinary people, it is simply impossible to enter the world of cards. But for now, as the champion Androni actually has such a chance directly. This is equivalent to making Androni famous in the world. After all, every legend card is recorded on the leaderboard. After Shillong made this card, he directly gave it to Androni, and the card was golden. It has a very high commemorative value. I heard that someone came up with 100 gold coins to buy, but Androni directly rejected it. He is no longer short of this 100 gold, but wants to improve his deck strength and pass the card forever. He also plans to leave the card to his sons so that they can be passed on from generation to generation. From now on will be the first, second, and third generations of the Hunter King. I heard that a fan also specially made a jersey for him. It can be said that life is proud. The runner-up is the Dwarf Spy. After this guy won the runner-up, he has 400 gold coins. When this guy got the money, he burst into tears, holding Shillong's thighs and thanked him again and again. Some crazy words are still being said in the mouth. The third place is a mage user, known by the players as Dharma Sage. This guy seems to be at odds with the second dwarf. After the first competition ended, the Legend of Heroes developed even more rapidly. The entire city of Tomorrow also attracted more people to settle. 1 year passed again, everyone is very happy. But Julia couldn't be happy. Through continuous observation of Shillong, she finally came to a conclusion. Shillong is being rejected by this world. I will part with them soon. How can this make her willing? She hasn't laid eggs for Xylem yet, haven't become the winner among all female dragons. For this reason, in the following days, every night, she will attack Shillong's residence, wanting to use a strong one. But how could Shillong do what she wanted? Every time Julia, who didn't dare to make troubles, be taught severely. And Julia is ruined among all female dragons, especially the female Yinlong. Every time she meets, she won't give her a good face. Contempt on the face, regarding her as the dragon scum, the female dragon scum that shot the male and the young dragon. Caddis also ridiculed her that if she used her strength to be effective, she would have used it long ago. But Julia would not explain to them. Seeing that she couldn't succeed, Julia actually fell silent. She began to check some alchemy books. These books are all about the offspring, the human body, the dragon body, and reproduction. I often discuss some weird things with Vikov, the most powerful legendary lich in the city. Yu reading www.uukanshu.com. After that, Julia was even more weird. She would hang around where Shillong had stayed every day. Every time Shillong left a place, Julia would quickly show up there and search for something. Shillong's rare tableware used for eating and drinking will be taken away by Julia. Time just passed 1 year again. One morning, Shillong sat in the back garden near the palace, holding a book on gravity in his hand. His eyes stared at the sky blankly. Felt it? The repulsion of the power of the world began to become stronger again. Shillong knew very well that he might be repelled by the power of the world within a year. Chapter 246. Now, he suddenly wanted to go back to Longdao to visit his mother. Slowly stood up and put down the books in his hands. After using the deformity a little, he left wearing sunglasses. Silently walked out of the palace, and came to a nearby hero tavern. This place is full of people, fighting in groups, while those who are not in their turn are watching, pointing at the battle table, constantly talking with the people next to them. Everyone didn't care about Shillong's arrival. In their opinion, it was just one more person playing games. He silently walked to the second floor. I saw Armin, wearing a beautiful silver dress with a ponytail, playing games with other people in high spirits. There was a group of men around him complimenting him, which made Armin unhappy. A face is full of smiles. Shillong looked up and saw that his battlefield was full of entourages, but the opposite was empty. Obviously, he was about to win the game. He walked over slowly, before he could watch. As Armin's sensitive nose unique to the dragon, he smelled Shillong. He turned his head and glanced at Shillong. Shillong, why are you here too? Are you coming to play with me? Hey, this is in my new deck. I have won 5 games in a row. It's strong. He was very proud. The people around were stunned when they heard this. Shillong, is it your majesty the Dragon King? Of course. Who else can anyone besides my brother? Armin said. It's actually your majesty the King of Dragon. A group of people were startled, and then they bowed and saluted Shillong. Shillong just waved his hand and said to Armin, hurry up and end the game. I have something to tell you. As soon as Shillong's words were uttered, the opposing player immediately surrendered without waiting for Armin's action. Then the hero exploded instantly. Armin and Shillong left. Coming to the street, Shillong directly established telepathic communication with Armin. Armin asked Shillong, why are you looking for me in such a hurry? I'm usually the only one looking for you. As he said, he closed a strand of hair in his ear. He stared at a human man on the side of the road for a moment, and directly ran into a mutant sheriff in front of him. This mutant is a mud mutant with mud all over his body. This collision was as if the whole person was thrown into the mud. After that, there was an instinctive scream, gushing, swallowing a big mouthful of mud, and starting to stand still and vomit. Armin seemed to have seen this scene too, and he smiled brighter. In the heart Link proudly said, did you see it? Shillong, this is the charm of my Armin. You bastard. Didn't I break your leg to make you float like this? Shillong frowned. Don't. I'm joking. Armin quickly stopped laughing and asked Shillong, what are you looking for me? I'm going to take you back to Long Island to meet your mother. Shillong's face showed nostalgia. Huh. Armin was a little surprised, and then he smiled. Shillong, you guy, I used to laugh at me as your mother Baolong, but you are. How long have you left your mother before you start to miss her? It's only 11 or 12 years since I left Long Island. So Armin didn't have much ideas at all. It's fine if you don't go back. I'll go back by myself, Shillong said. He didn't bother to talk nonsense with Armin. Oh wait, I was joking with you. Go back. Of course go back. Our brothers will go to see my mother. Just let her see how beautiful I am now. She will be very happy to have such a beautiful child. Ha ha ha. At the end, Armin laughed again. Tisk, Shillong had a headache about this. He took Almin back to the palace, and he called Kusk, told him that he would return to Dragon Island temporarily, let him take care of the city, and left with Almin. In the state of the Dragonborn, he directly hugged Almin and flew away. This makes Armin a little weird. It's so good. The dragon body will be there in a while. Why do you want to use the Dragonborn state? Shillong could only prevaricate. After spending half a day, the two dragons returned to the familiar sea again. Shillong stretched out his palm and gently pressed it against the barrier. A circle appeared like water ripples, and then a crack appeared on the surface of the sea that seemed to have nothing. The two dragons got in quickly. Armin looked at everything familiar inside and quickly changed back to his real body. It turned into a silver dragon about 7 meters high and 10 meters long. He roared cheerfully. Soon it attracted 2 young dragons nearby. They flew over quickly, and they recognized Shillong and Armin at a glance. One of them was curious. Director Shillong, Brother Armin, didn't you two travel out more than 10 years ago? Why is this? Coming back soon? Hey! Armin smiled at this time. He grinned and squinted at Shillong and said, it's not my brother who is arguing to come back to see his mother. Ha! There is no way to be his brother. I can only take him came back. Huh. A red bronze dragon said in surprise. Is that so? We thought it was Armin. You were arguing to come back. Director Shillong is very mature and steady. I remember you liked it more than 10 years ago. Pestered your mother. That's my respect and love to my mother. And this time, Shillong really asked for it. Armin said. Is that so? Shillong? The copper dragon asked. Shillong sighed in his heart for what Armin said. This brat? It was indeed proposed by me. Shillong nodded. Because I am leaving this world soon. I want to see my mother again before I leave. Leave? Armin was taken aback. Are you going to the abyss again? You have been there for 3 years before, and you won't be going for decades this time? Armin's complexion slightly changed Wuxia world. Online, there was no accident in the previous 3 years, but if we go out for decades this time, the accident may be much higher than usual. He is a little scared. The other 2 dragons were also taken aback. Huh? Shillong, have you been to the abyss? It is very dangerous there. How can you go to such a dangerous place when you are so small? The 2 of them didn't know Shillong's strength. My time is almost up, so I want to come back and have a look. Shillong answered the question. Time? What time? Armin wondered. This world is repelling me and fearing my power. Shillong looked up at the sky. Seems to be watching something, a little lost. Huh? Repelling you? Fearing you? The 2 dragons next to them were stunned. They couldn't understand Shillong's words. Chapter 247. Even if there is a memory of inheritance, Shillong is just a little dragon in their eyes. What the 2 said is not on the same channel at all, so naturally they cannot understand. But Armin realized after a slight daze, he was a little dazed and said, No, no, so fast. He was crying. Yes, at most 1 year, I will leave. Shillong nodded. Then what should I do? Armin looked depressed. He hesitated, whether to leave the main material plane with Shillong or stay in the city of tomorrow. If it were in the previous years, he would have followed Shillong. But now he has become addicted to playing the legend of mainland heroes. Where is he willing? He is also the star of the whole city, the love of all men. That kind of high-profile feeling fascinated him. What on earth are you talking about? The 2 young dragons were confused. Let's not worry about this problem anymore. Shillong smiled. Big brothers, do you know where my mother is now? Your mother seems to have left Long Island very early. A dragon said. After you leave, she seems to have left. Really? Shillong was taken aback. Armin was also a little disappointed. You don't have to be like this. Many female dragons will retravel the mainland with their partners after sending their children away. They also have their own lives and cannot stay on Dragon Island forever. But if you must see her, maybe you can ask Uncle Orem. He is your mother's eldest brother. Maybe you will know something. 2 young dragons gave suggestions. Uncle Orem? Shillong said to himself. Then he thanked the 2 dragons and quickly flew to the library of Longdao. Orem is an old house dragon. He likes to hide in the library and look at those books. Whether it is about academics, humanities, geography, or simplicity, he likes to read them. The identity of the administrator is only for the convenience of reading books. The 2 dragons quickly came to the dragon library. Orem was looking down at a book at this time, fascinated by the book, making strange laughs from time to time. When Shillong and Armin approached him several tens of meters, Orem quickly put the book away. When he saw Shillong and Armin slowly walking in, he was obviously shocked. Shillong, Armin, why are your 2 children back? Is this the end of your tour? I heard that you built a city outside. Uncle Orem, I want to see my mother. Do you know where she has gone? Shillong asked directly. Your mother? Orem's expression changed slightly. This is not so clear. After all, this world is too big, and wherever she wants to go is her freedom. Really? That's a shame. Shillong just finished speaking, but immediately thought of something. Oh, I almost forgot Teacher Kama. He is a master of arcane arts, so I can use what my mother gave me before. Mom, find it out. Shillong suddenly thought of a 9th-level super tracking arcane. As long as there is an item with the party's mark, this 9th-level tracking spell can find a target across thousands of miles. Shillong and Armin naturally also have such items. What? Orem was startled. His expression suddenly changed. You too. It's best not to disturb Elder Kama. He seems to be studying some very powerful things recently, and now is the critical moment. Huh. Shillong frowned and looked at Orem. Uncle Orem, I can smell a lie. Are you lying? You are really not suitable for lying. Look at your scales have turned red gold. At this time, in the eyes of Shillong and Armin, the scales of Orem's face were full of red gold. This is really because Orem will not lie, but he is a good golden dragon who is honest, trustworthy, and friendly. This will deceive the 2 little dragons, so I am very embarrassed. Orem hesitated. Uncle Orem, why are you lying to us? We just want to see my mother. Armin said on the side. Soren, he is about to leave the main material world. His mood was slightly low. Leave the main material world? Orem was shocked instantly. What do you mean? But after all, He was knowledgeable and knew that Shillong was far superior to Changlong. He immediately reacted and said, "The power of the world has begun to reject you? Yes, at most 1 year, I will leave. So I want to take a look at my mother before leaving," Shillong said with emotion. He was only in his early 50s, and he was about to leave the main material world he was familiar with. Time it's so fast. This? Oram was a little frightened. This is too fast, because you are repelled by the power of the world at such a young age, even among human beings. Is this the legendary dragon with the capital of the dragon god? Impressive. Impressive. At the end, Oram was amazed again and again. "So, Uncle Oram, you know why I want to see my mother? If you know where she is, please tell me," Shillong said. "This?" Oram hesitated again. "Please tell me, otherwise, I can only ask Teacher Kama. Even if Teacher Kama doesn't say anything, I will find a legendary arcane master to help find my mother's whereabouts." "You?" Oram was a little anxious. I said it's not enough." After he finished speaking, his expression became a little complicated. "Soren Armin, you too. Do you know the Thomas Arcane Empire in the center of the mainland?" There is no reflection. Armin and Shillong looked at each other and shook their heads. Inheritance memory also has no such memory. It's no wonder that the Arcane Empire of Thomas is an empire that has only risen formally in the past 8,000 years. It's almost called a restricted zone now. There is a place that all foreign races cannot approach. Wuxia World, online Oram Road. What do you mean? Doma Arcane Empire. There is the Arcane World. Almost everyone is an arcane master, and it is the most prosperous place in the entire continent. The combination of arcane and alchemy is the pinnacle of civilization. Thousands of years ago, it was a paradise for all arcane masters, but they were arrogant and arrogant. The stronger they were, the more arrogant they would be. They looked down on all beings who could not use arcane magic, and looked down on some foreigners. Their research is crazy. All lives are on their arrest list. They are all the materials for their experiments. Even our dragons, titans, angels, etc. are all their experimental materials. There is a place where prosperity and evil combine. Huh? Uncle Oram, what are you kidding? Just because the humans of the empire want to hunt us? There are thousands of dragons in our dragon clan who still exist on the material plane. Armin doesn't believe it. Chapter 248. These are useless. Our dragons, the dragons that remain on the primary material plane, are at best legendary, and when the demigods are hard to see, they can't resist the Doma Arcane Empire. Their arcane and alchemy have developed to the extreme of civilization. Because of the hunting of foreign races, a dozen gods in the star realm have been angered, including His Majesty Bahamut and Ms. Tiamat, the mother of the evil dragon. This is also one of the rare collaborations of the two dragon gods. In that battle, there were a dozen or so of the incarnations of the gods, as well as the demigods left behind by the gods, and some demigods still remaining. The two sides fought fiercely, and the entire central land was shattered. The sea was evaporated by several meters of water level. The sky is shrouded in mist. Over 100 million casualties. After that battle, the Doma Arcane Empire suffered heavy losses, but the gods did not continue to do anything for some reason, and perhaps they were already unable to follow up. The Doma Arcane Empire was forced to make a contract with the gods and would not continue to arrest foreign races unscrupulously. Only then did the war end. But this is 1,000 years ago. Human beings are forgetful. Their small movements never stop. Some of those who accidentally pass by 100 kilometers around the Arcane Empire have never appeared again. They will even send some hunting ships to secretly hunt some precious resources in their eyes. Armin was a little confused after hearing this. A dozen or so gods haven't defeated this Thomas Arcane Empire? Is this too exaggerated? The strength is really good, but there should be no lunatic like Luashanda among these gods, who directly descended the clone of the gods. This makes it difficult for them to have demigod combat power, and how many demigods of their races can have. But it's really exaggerated. Soren listened very carefully, and after listening, he also expressed some of his own opinions. Then he frowned and said, "Uncle Oram, you won't tell us this for no reason. You mean, my mother was taken away by them? No. Impossible? How could mother be captured by such a terrifying empire?" Armin let out a miserable cry and lay down on the ground, with the two dragon claws in front of him hugging his head. "Your mother was not taken away, but took the initiative to pass." Oram sighed, his expression a little sad. "How is this possible? Mom, isn't she self-inflicted? How could she be so stupid?" Armin cried with his head in his arms. "Why?" Shillong frowned. "Don't she know the danger there?" "Of course I knew, but she went anyway. Because there is your father, Richard." Oram sighed. "Father?" Armin raised his head, two mercury-like eyes filled with tears. "That's right." Oram nodded. "I heard your mother say that when she was about to lay eggs with you, she encountered an air hunting boat from the Arcane Empire of Thomas. As you know, our real dragon is a treasure to humans, even if it is not killed. For some of them, having a dragon pet is still worth showing off. For this reason, after they saw your parents, they started directly, and your father, Richard, in order to cover your mother, alone led away the hunting boat. Then it never appeared again. He may be dead, but he may also be captured to make test materials. Maybe with better luck, he can become a pet of some great arcanist in the Arcane Empire, so that he can still survive. After sending you away from Dragon Island, your mother made up her mind to find Richard. Even if it was just a skeleton, she wanted to see it. Orem said at the end. His eyes were slightly wet. Silent and Armin were both silent. They also discussed the father's issue before. I thought my father was a dragon scum, and the kind who threw his wives and sons away. He did not expect to be such a responsible male dragon. You two, don't go there. This is what your mother told me when she left. I beg you, even if you have the power of a demigod, Shillong will never please go there. Orem said, somewhat soft and pleading. He couldn't stop Viola before, but couldn't he stop her two children this time? As a demigod, don't I have the right to let them give up a little and hand over my parents? Shillong asked with a frown. That's impossible. The people of Thomas Arcane Empire have been arrogant for a long time, and even the gods are not in the eyes. How can you be afraid of you as a demigod? Orem said. If it is a normal empire, accidentally injured, or accidentally claws a demigod's relatives, then naturally you will apologize. But the Doma Arcane Empire is not. They are not comparable to ordinary empires. They have invincible thoughts and fearless hearts in their hearts. Then there is no way. Shillong sighed, his face showing a decisive expression. You two children, I beg you, can you not go? This is your mother's last wish when she leaves. She just wants you to be healthy and live in peace. Orem said softly. That's impossible, Uncle Orem. Shillong didn't mean to shrink at all. Yes, we will definitely save Mom. Armin stood up and said with a firm expression. Shillong glanced at Armin. You should forget it. I will be enough. What are you talking about? How could I stay at home like a coward? Don't underestimate me. Armin looked serious. But your strength is too weak, and going there just drags me back. Do you think I am going to have fun? Even if I am found that I can't beat him, I can still run, but we can't run with you, Shillong said. Finally, he gave Armin a fierce look. Armin shrank his neck staring. He thought of wearing women's clothing before, and on several occasions he was too arrogant in front of Shillong. The experience of being caught and spanked. Every time he was beaten, he was merciless, and he was not yelling to break his leg. Mine is so painful that I can't get out of bed for a few weeks. It's useless for you even in the past. The strength of Thomas's Arcane Empire is beyond your imagination. Orem said angrily. These two brats, ignore me yelling over there. Didn't you hear what I said? Uncle Orem, I don't understand the strength of Thomas's Arcane Empire, but you also don't understand my strength. Do you have a little confidence in me? Shillong turned his head and looked at each other sincerely. Aren't you a demigod? Or the kind of demigod who will soon be rejected by the power of the world? Orem said, stroking the beard on his face with his paws. Child, don't underestimate me. Wisdom. I am the dragon who reads the most books in the race. I am also the wisest golden dragon except Elder Kama. You concealed something from me, Wuxia World. Online, you shouldn't be able to show your real body anymore, right? Maintaining the dragonborn form all the time indicates that only in this state can you be immune to rejection by the power of the world. Huh. Armin was stunned. No. Shillong, if you are in this state, don't you go to die? For Shillong's dragon body, he still has some confidence. He can run if he can't beat it. That speed, Armin has experienced. Almost didn't throw him away at the time. The whole body scales were cut by the extremely fast wind blade. Almost disfigured him. Fortunately, there was the silver melting beauty Dafa taught by my mother at that time. Alas, Armin's eyes became wet again when he thought of his mother. Chapter 249. Uncle Orem, the observation is really keen. Shillong smiled. So you should be honest, there is really not a place you can go. Orem said. Can you go outside with me? Shillong said. Question mark. Armin and Orem looked at each other. What do you want to do? Is there any question that can't be said here? Show you something, it's too small here. Although the two dragons had some doubts in their hearts, they went out. Outside, on flat ground. Sneer Shillong's dragonborn body quickly twisted in front of the two dragons. His face gradually became hideous and weird, and his body quickly deformed and expanded. Roar, a dragon roar came from Shillong's mouth, like a thunder explosion, shocking the soul. Armin licked the weak and fell straight to the ground, rolling his mercury-like eyes. Orem shook his head slightly. This kid, did you tell me to come out to see his real body? Even if you can change, can't you change inside? In other words, the space in the library is considered spacious, and it is comfortable to stay at the level of take-along. But before he said he was leaving this world, he lied to me? Oram frowned and watched Shillong's body expand rapidly. He soon surpassed him, followed by the 30-meter high and 60-meter body length in Oram's image. Then it is 40 meters high and 80 meters long. Just when Oram thought it was about the time, Shillong's body still didn't stop swelling, and soon under his shocked eyes, turned into a terrifying dragon with a height of over 50 meters and a body length of over 100 meters. With each breath, flames emerged from his mouth and nose, and the temperature of the surrounding space unconsciously increased with Shillong's breathing. Because of the high temperature, everything around it looks extremely unreal. With the appearance of this giant beast, the ground made an overwhelming squeak, and spider web-like cracks spread quickly to the distance. Oh, a yelling sounded, interrupting Oram's surprise. I saw Armin, who was frightened and fainted before, jumped from the ground like his was on fire. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot in your mouth, he yelled, and quickly expelled ice mist from his mouth to cool himself down. After the ice mist came to the outside world, it quickly reacted with the surrounding high temperature. It made a sneer and became a large swath of water vapor. I'm burning to death. Armin opened his eyes at this moment and couldn't help but cried out when he saw the real body of Zero. Zero, what are you doing? Take your power away. It's hot. I hate this kind of heat the most. Sorry, I can't hold it. Shillong shook his head. After he returned from the abyss, he didn't show his true body much and didn't have time to exercise his control. A stream of golden particles sputtered from him and landed directly on Armin. Oh! Armin screamed, I'm burning to death. He looked at Shillong in horror and quickly withdrew hundreds of meters back, slowly emitting ice mist to relieve the overheated body. His beautiful silver scales were so large that they were completely blackened, which made him very heartbroken. Oram was a little dazed. He is a golden dragon, and he also prefers fire attributes, but he is not afraid of these temperatures. At this moment, he was a little unsure that what he saw was true. He gently rubbed his eyes with his paws, then raised a dragon's claw and gently stroked Shillong's forelimbs. Then he became even more dazed. Is this true? Not an illusion? Of course it is true, Uncle Oram, Shillong said, patted Oram's shoulder with his forelimbs, like an adult patted a child. As a result, because of excessive force, Oram staggered and almost fell to the ground. Uncle Oram, are you okay? Shillong quickly supported him. It's really true. His eyes were full of shock, and some couldn't believe what he saw. Looking at Shillong's tall and sturdy body, and listening to Shillong calling his uncle, he felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. He raised his head and looked at the tall Shillong and then at himself. He found that he only reached the opponent's chest. This gave him extremely subtle emotions. Your size is enough to be my grandfather's grandfather, right? Call me uncle? Soren, you are not repelled by the power of the world? He was a little unbelievable. I got the help of Time Dragon. He gave me a treasure that can overcome the power of the world in a short time, Shillong said, but immediately he frowned. Even if I turn back to my true body, I should it can protect me from being rejected by the power of the world for 24 hours. But now it seems that as I grow, this time is also shortening, and it is only about 7 hours now. Shillong clearly felt that the time force in the necklace he swallowed in his belly was fast disappearing, much faster than it disappeared 3 years ago. Time Dragon? The Time Dragon, the head of the 3 legendary dragons? Oram asked in surprise. It should be. He introduced himself like that. Oram breathed again. The Time Dragon is recognized as the strongest legendary dragon. Even if compared with His Majesty Bahamut, it is not much better. Oram praised, sure enough, Shillong. You are also an amazing legendary dragon. So, I will go to my mother. Uncle Oram should also understand me, right? Shillong lowered his head and looked at Oram, who was like a young dragon in front of him. This? Oram hesitated again, but he was really no match for Shillong's eyes. Being stared at, he feels so stressed. I'll take you to Elder Kamas. If he agrees, I have nothing to say. He finally decided like this. Okay, let's go now Wuxia World. Online Shillong said, quickly changing back to Dragonborn form. Armin then came back cursingly. 3 dragons quickly found Kama Dorn. He was also looking at some books at this time. After seeing Sanlong coming in, he looked at Shillong in surprise and asked, My child, why are you back? Shillong told Kama what happened again. Kama groaned slightly after listening. I'll go with you. Armin and Oram are staying on Dragon Island. Don't go anywhere. How can this be? As the uncle of Shillong, it was wrong for Viola to go to the Doma Arcane Empire before. Now I want me to stay here like a coward. I can't do it. Oram was emotional. Excitement. Armin wanted to go too, but when he was about to speak, Shillong glared fiercely, shrinking his head and dared not speak. Chapter 250. Oram, do you think I want to play with Shillong? Although your strength is good, it is still a bit worse. Even me, if I alone, I would not dare to go to the Doma Arcane Empire. This time the past with Shillong is not a direct battle, but a secret rescue. There are too many dragons, but it is easier to be exposed. You are not too young. Why are you still so irrational? Commodorn severely reprimanded Orim. In the end, only Kama and Shillong were on the road together. Karma gave Shillong a magic item. As long as you bring it, you can hide the real body well. The effect is very good, even Shillong cannot see through. It should also be a legendary magic item. If the real body cannot be concealed, and the alien beast enters the Arcane Empire, let alone save the dragon, I am afraid it will be caught directly. Shillong was sitting on Kama's back and headed to the Arcane Empire of Thomas. It took a total of more than 10 days, spanning hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Shillong only saw Thomas's Arcane Empire in the sky. This is the real empire above the clouds. All cities stand on floating islands, surrounded by clouds and mist. The architectural technology here is very full. The same is full of magic. Trains are speeding on the mid-air track, and airships are turning around. There are also various exotic animals flying in the sky, and pedestrians and vehicles on the ground are endless. Even more drove the flying dragon, and the dragon soared in the sky. After a cursory glance, the entire Doma Arcane Empire is at least composed of dozens of giant floating islands. Each piece has an area of tens of thousands of square kilometers. Xylem and Kama turned into human bodies when they approached the nearest floating island for 100 kilometers, and then slowly flew towards the floating island. They came to the front easily. No one came to investigate. However, there are many small flying saucers flying in the sky outside each island. They flew aimlessly, and when Shillong and Kama approached, they quickly sensed the existence of the two dragons. After approaching the two dragons, he paused for a while. The red electronic eyes scanned the two dragons in a circle, and an electronic sound appeared. D. Unknown visitor with unknown identity. Race, there are arcane fluctuations. Dome Arcane welcomes you. Unidentified alien arcanists, please go to the left-hand road, Bingjiao District, the Alien Population Management Office to register and report after 3 days. Over time, they will be regarded as unknown personnel and violently expelled. After speaking, in the golem's electronic eyes, a small map was quickly projected into the void directly in front, pointing directly at the target location. After 10 seconds, the picture disappeared. The flying saucer-like golem just left. Xylem and Kama looked at each other, and they both saw awe in each other's eyes. Shillong exclaimed, completely surprised by the appearance of this high-tech. He had only seen this kind of scenes in certain movies and animations in his previous life. Unexpectedly, the world that originally thought that the technology was backward would actually rely on arcane and alchemy, can also do so. Shillong paused in the air, and the pupils in his eyes quickly shrank into needles. His eyes began to look for his mother through the layers of obstacles. In the process, he discovered some shocking sights under this glamorous magical city. For example, in a crematorium, not only the dead are cremated, but the living are cremated. All the staff here are dressed in robes. Those who were cremated didn't. They cried and pleaded with the staff. Their eyes were full of horror and unbelief, and their bodies were held by the hands of azure magic. But the staff didn't care about it at all. Their eyes were infinitely indifferent, like a machine, manipulating the hand of magic to throw these people into the high-temperature furnace. Inside were all purple flames with a temperature above 7,000 degrees. After being thrown in, the poor ghost struggled for a while, and soon disappeared and turned into bones. In some laboratories, a group of elderly arcanists in robes raised their hands during an operation and performed anatomy. Some may be in pursuit of the best results. After fixing the person directly, proceed. Vivisection. Of course, these dissected humans are few. Most of them are orcs, elves, monsters, giants, flying dragons, etc. There are also breeding circles, where not only various food animals, but also monsters are kept. Also raising humans, orcs, elves and other races. One by one was naked, like a pig being raised, eating, drinking and sleeping. Shillong looked a bit cold. He also saw many dragons, including 5 color dragons, metal dragons, gem dragons, ferrous dragons, etc. Some of them have been tamed and lie down in the hut built for them by their master. Others have not yet been tamed, being beaten in a huge room. These animal tamers are wearing a set of mana armor, and those giant dragons that look like they are in their prime can't fight back in front of them. Like a young dragon. Xylem even saw many dragons that had been dissected, and all parts of their bodies were preserved. Obviously, the people of the Arcane Empire would also cherish the advanced materials on the dragon. After searching for more than 30 minutes, Shillong found his mother, Viola, on the floating island in the middle. She is being locked in a small black room, still a dragon, with her limbs fixed on the wall. With his head hanging down, the whole dragon was weak. In the crevices of the body scales, a lot of silver blood flowed out. The original shiny silver scales looked very dull, and the whip marks were clearly visible. Found it. Silem's face was gloomy. Where? Kama asked. Is nothing wrong? In the center of the floating city, my mother is hanging in the air, and her scales are covered with blood and weeds. Kama looked at the gloomy Shillong Wuxia world online and patted his shoulder lightly with his hand. Calm down. This is already a lucky result. I know. Go. Let's go first. Find a way to figure out everything nearby, and then do the rescue. Kama said, and flew over with Silen. The floating island in the middle is very different from the surrounding ones, and the buildings inside are much more luxurious than other places. There are more bunkers like war fortresses standing around, and barrels of red glowing guns are spinning. When they approached the floating island in the middle and wanted to enter, a flying saucer golem quickly appeared in front of them. Dididi, unidentified personnel, please leave Central City immediately within 10 seconds. This is not where you should come. Please leave immediately. Overtime will be treated as an intruder and be destroyed. Electronic sounds sounded from the flying saucer golem.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and give this video a like to stay updated on all the latest content. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card or directly on my channel. Share your suggestions for the next one. Just drop the name of the novel and the website it's on in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. Feel free to drop a comment.